You're watching the SoCal Minor League Cricket Championship, brought to you by our 2023 partners.
Welcome back, cricket fans of America, to Morgan Hill, California. We're at the Morgan Hill Outdoor Sports Complex here in the southern tip of Silicon Valley for the 2023 SoCal Minor League Cricket Championships presented by Lakshmi House of Spices. Joe Hickey with you on the comms again for the fourth time this weekend, and we'll have a busy one as well next weekend. Today, we finish off with a match that is going to set the scene for what will be at stake in those matches. As we take a look here at the current standings, Silicon Valley Strikers have just leapfrogged East Bay Blazers, albeit with the Blazers having two matches in hand. But at least on points, they lead now with 12, 6-2 their record. East Bay Blazers are going to play two games between now and their pair of matchups against Silicon Valley on Saturday and Sunday next week. Big deal for East Bay to try to win both of those. It would give them obviously the inside track going into those matchups with Silicon Valley. But if they do fall in one of them, it might result in the Strikers and Blazers going in with the only advantage being via net run rate and then locked up in the standings. Just beneath them, we see the SoCal Lashings at 4 and 5. And we've talked a bit this weekend about what the Lashings need to do to try to make the MILC playoffs for the first time in their franchise's history. They need to get to 5 and 5, and they're going to need a little bit of help next week as the Seattle Thunderbolts and Golden State Grizzlies will finish off their seasons. The road to a playoff qualification for them starts with a victory today. It would require Golden State to fall to defeat against this same East Bay Blazers team next Friday here in Morgan Hill. And then they would need Seattle and Golden State to split their pair of games to both finish at 4 and 6. Absolutely within the realm of possibility, given what we've seen of these teams so far. But all of that still left to play for. That's at least 4 matches that are going to matter quite a bit between now and the end. And the other 2 are going to be between the top teams and likely a battle for that #1 spot and the automatic qualification to the Super 8s in Texas the final weekend of September. We'll take a look at the teams that are going to come out to contest this one. Mrinal Patel, the captain of the SoCal Lashings, has won the toss and elected to bat first. And so far on this season, when SoCal has batted first, they are 2 and 2. They won a couple of games over San Diego, but they did fall to defeat yesterday after putting up a total that just wasn't quite an imposing enough challenge to that Silicon Valley lineup. They're going to be looking for better today, but they make their changes only in terms of temperament, in terms of approach, but not in terms of personnel. Same 11 as yesterday. Ruben Clinton and Kirsten Kalicharan already out on the field, ready to get going, and that high-octane bowling attack anchored by Ayan Desai, Sanchit Sandhu, and Elmore Hutchinson ready to bring the blistering pace and then mix it up with a bit of that spin on the other side. Raina Rajab Patel and even Ruben Clinton himself. We saw yesterday a little bit of Harpreet Singh as well, rolling his arm over with the off spin. Taking a look at East, we've got one change to their lineup, and it's going to be a like-for-like swap. Carmine LaRue comes in for his first action of 2023 SoCal Minor League Cricket Championships. He replaces the other left-arm pacer in the roster, Abhishek Paradkar. Otherwise, it is as you were, Saideep Ganesh and David White. We saw reunited in that opening partnership yesterday, and to great effect as they ran East Bay out to a fantastic total, one that they wound up having zero difficulty defending over the course of the second innings against the San Diego Surf Riders. It is going to be Carmine LaRue getting the ball for the first over. Not an uncommon sight for us in the Bay Area, as he did the same over the course of the month of July when he received first ball for the San Francisco Unicorns here and there. A solid MLC season for him. Did take a handful of wickets as I get my notes flipped over to the correct side. There he is, 3 for 141 in 18 overs of Major League Cricket action with the Unicorns, but took some illustrious names. A pair of USA internationals, Stephen Taylor and Mayank Patel, and admittedly, he was giving his wicket away a little bit over the course of the tournament, but still can't sneeze at dismissing countryman Faf du Plessis. 30-year-old from Johannesburg starts with the ball in his left hand, and he'll be facing off with Ruben Clinton. A game that East Bay needs to keep a stranglehold on the top, a game that SoCal needs to try to extend their 2023 season. First delivery staying down at that side, and that has it's going to be a wide ball and a free run here for the SoCal Lashings, but a ball that has the upsetting look, I would imagine, for the batting side of the delivery that dismissed Shahan Jayasuriya. I had a chance to chat with Ruben Clinton pre-game, and he mentioned that the two sides of the pitch playing a little differently from one another. It's another one that stays low. This one close enough to the stumps to be a legal delivery. But we saw it in action, a few potential dead spots over on that side, or maybe just a generally spongier pitch. Ball did not come up onto the bat quite as readily when bowlers were attacking from the Barrett Avenue end, as Carmine LaRue is right now. And he's blown up. Ruben Clinton, second ball, takes out the top of middle stump. And it's an early signal here from the East Bay Blazers. Ruben Clinton forced to take the long walk back to the pavilion a great deal earlier than I'm sure he hoped. Carmine LaRue, welcome back to minor league. And that one is hit right there in the center of center stump. Couldn't put that one in the middle of the strike zone any better than that. And so it's going to have to be somebody other than the opening partnership to get it done today. Kirsten Kalichadan, of course, waiting to face his first delivery. But he and Clinton together had 3 partnerships to open innings of over 60 runs. And Clinton himself involved in one of the other 2 50 partnerships this season for the SoCal Lashings. That comes the difficulty inherent in trying to navigate a ball playing those tricks on you. He did mention that by and large the strategy from that side is likely going to be to try to work 1s and 2s, try and keep rotating strike. Just make sure you get the bat behind it. The other side of the pitch generally where the better batting has been. Here comes LaRue. Harpreet Singh, the man in at 3. He navigates that one, and they're going to need to keep the bat very, very close to the dirt to have much of a chance to navigate these LaRue deliveries. They are skidding on so far. We saw that with the ones that went back to the gloves of Aditya Ganesh. And a particularly flamboyant example of it, taking the wicket of the recent New Zealand transplant. Here comes LaRue again at Harpreet. Another one bunted into the ground, and LaRue fires that one towards the stumps and hits Harpreet on the ankle, which I can't imagine is fun. Harpreet in the starting lineup, despite rolling that ankle early on. We might see a bit more of the 12th man fielder, Jake Shanpalaha, over the course of this, but that one fired in. Maybe it got knee. He's got a little padding there. Hopefully okay. Want to see everyone performing at their highest level. LaRue trying to angle this one in, and that is fired past David White. Fine of the man at mid-on, and Harpreet Singh underway with a 4. That one does come onto the bat nicely, holds the pose for the on drive. So 5 runs off the over. And a need to rebuild just a little bit here after that early dismissal. Harpreet yesterday 1 off 7. Opens the face of the bat and defends that one to the man in the covers. And that'll be all for that over. So 4 dot balls, a wide, a boundary, and a wicket. A little bit of everything here in over number 1. Lashings 5 for the loss of 1.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट में क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Pace from both sides. It'll be Rusty Theron from the San Pedro end of the ground, the northern side of the Morgan Hill Outdoor Sports Complex. And he'll be taking on Kirsten Kalicharan, who was merely a spectator to a wild first over. Kalicharan into the team after that opening weekend in Van Nuys. Started playing with them in the final weekend of August, also in Van Nuys. 23-year-old originally from Trinidad, now based in Ontario. And he has been very consistent in the early going of his MILC career. First delivery from Rusty Theron, tapped to the offside. 27 off 27, just a shade under his 106 strike rate for the season in yesterday's action. And he's just a metronome throughout the piece. Same exact strike rate in the power play and in the middle overs coming into the weekend. Goes about it a little differently, though. Very busy between the wickets in the middle overs. Soaks up some pressure and then hits a lot of boundaries. 2/3 of his runs in the power play coming by way of 4s and 6s, and he had the rare trick yesterday of targeting Saurabh Netravalkar for a 6. Only the 3rd time that had happened all season. Cuts that one to the man at third man. That is where the deep fielder is located. One there, the other at mid-wicket. It is CP Rizwan, who was the debutant yesterday, took a wicket. In his 3 overs of work. Spin, absolutely the order of the day in yesterday's match involving East Bay Blazers. They took 8 of their 9 wickets against San Diego with spinners. That one worked off the pads, and that's going to be fine of the man at fine leg, Carmine LaRue. Play a little bit of fetch and another boundary stroke here, one for each batter so far. Or excuse me, rather a second one, I should say, for Harpreet Singh. Harry so far off to a lovely start. He finished off his weekend over Labor Day in brilliant fashion. Swing and a miss at that one as Rusty buzzes it by at about hip height. But Harry looking for a return to form in 2021, one of the best batters, and for that matter, all-rounders in MILC as we take a look at Rusty Theron's ball. That one released just barely swinging away from the original off-stump line. Thought about that one, pulls out of the shot at the last minute. Another dot ball, but Harry came in with his team needing 18 to finish off the chase as we take a look at another quality delivery from Rusty Theron. And he hit 18 off 4. 3 6s to finish off the chase in style, and SoCal at the time very conscious of net run rate. The way things now stand, probably just need to finish ahead of Seattle and Golden State on points. There's a bouncer. We'll see here the square leg umpire satisfied with it, as we have Ravashankar Bhairapagowda and Pankaj Chowdhury patrolling in the red shirts with the Sunoco logos on the back. Theron making use of the bouncer he still had left, not a wide. Harry thought about trying to give that the slightest of nudges to pick up a 4 or a 6 behind, but no dice, just the one boundary shot and single off the over, 10 for the loss of 1. That'll mean Kirsten Kalicharan ends up on strike here to start this next over. He's faced just the 2 deliveries and picked up a single. LaRue remains the bowler from the Barrett Avenue end. Early days here in this pivotal matchup. SoCal had a brilliant start to the piece yesterday. 4 overs worth of stellar batting. That one's going to get through Kalicharan as well, right to the gloves of Ganesh. And SoCal were 35 for the loss of none through 4 overs. Looked like they were going to put up a massive total. And then, along with bringing some spin into the equation, and Silicon Valley yesterday bowled 15 overs worth of spin. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, they didn't bowl 15 overs. East Bay bowled 15 overs of spin. But either way, the introduction of spin, and particularly of Dev Thadani, limited the ability of SoCal to continue to accumulate. Again, that conversation with Ruben Clinton, he said there was a realization, it appeared, that if you took just 10 clicks off of your fastest delivery, it wasn't coming onto the bat nearly as well. And they made that adjustment early. They went to the spinners, who we saw today, the likes of Pranay Suri and Srinivas Raghavan, getting an awful lot of turn. And it choked things off, 35 for no loss through 4 overs. They only scored 68 runs for the entire remainder of the innings. Single for Kalicharan off the second ball. That one's going to get away from Aditya Ganesh, but Harpreet not ready to take off just yet. The wind picking up, as it often does here in Morgan Hill in the afternoons. Started our first game with a game time temperature of 64 degrees, now 85 here. Harpreet Singh turns on that one and blasts it through the onside. No protection there, as Rusty Theron is at backward square. And that's another boundary shot for Harpreet. He is batting in a way that would remind you of 2021. No problem with that ball staying low. Hits that from just under his rib cage. .159 the strike rate back in 2021, 132 last year, and 110 coming into this weekend. But he is finding the gaps wherever they are. By and large, hitting it where they ain't. That one run off the bat to third man for another single. That'll give Kalicharan a chance to face off here again with Carmine LaRue. That one tapped to the left side. That'll be a dot ball here for Carmine LaRue. Final delivery of the over. Well, it would have been, except it's going to be a leg side wide, and it's going to go for 5 additional runs. Aditya Ganesh put in the dive, but could not keep it in front. And that, after a lot of good economy, is going to lead SoCal for the first time to the 6 runs per over mark. Want to start that thing at 5th stump, have it bend to middle. If you start it at leg, it's going to wind up, well, over by us. Now maybe the final ball. Bit of width on offer, and Kalicharan is going to put that over the top of the 2 fielders. Doesn't have enough Sunoco to make it to the rope. Sanjay Krishnamurthy will chase it down. It looks like it will go down as just a single here. Perhaps the running between the wickets to be conditioned by a bit of a knock to Harpreet Singh. But either way, sturdy over there. They managed to pick up 4 of the 5 wides. I'm trying to do the math in my head, and I'm going to give up. Bunch of runs, 23 for 1. Change of bowling from the San Pedro end of the ground. It's going to be some lefty spin from Sanjay Krishnamurthy, and his first delivery sneaks by Kirsten Kalicharan. And just a whole bunch of hands on heads. How did that not hit wood? How did that not pick up a piece of the willow? Why didn't it stick in Ganesh's gloves? All of the above. Fantastic first delivery of his spell for Sanjay. That one is stumpward bound, but batted away by Kalicharan. 2 for 16 yesterday, Sanjay's spell. Raises his total to 11 wickets on the season and manages to pull his average down even from the 12.7 that he started the week with. Took out a couple of valuable top-order wickets. Got Greg Hay to throw a shot very early, and then got Adi Gorawara to chop onto his own stumps. Kalicharan using the feet, and that is going to be launched over the, or rather through a gap on the onside, and will make it all the way to the rope for 4. Notice there on the fielding cam too, Abhishek Paradkar in pursuit. He is present today as the sub fielder. Won't be part of the bowling attack. Of course, that means he can feel free to use up his legs entirely chasing after balls if necessary. Doesn't need to keep anything in reserve for the pace that he usually brings. Carmine LaRue tasked with that role from the left side. Kalicharan manages to swipe that one over the top of the covers. Deep man on this side was David White at a rather narrow long off. No chance for him. Another 4 here. Kalicharan looking to accelerate things a little bit and try to avoid that swoon that came yesterday against spin. Sanjay just doesn't quite get his length right on that one. Pulls it a little short. We had the conversation in the last game about the difference between trying to field in baseball, fielding an in-between hop versus a longer true hop. That was the true hop. You get time to adjust yourself to the new trajectory. And especially when it comes as slow as it does from a spinner, great opportunity to just thwack it. That one thwacked to the offside, but a lot of fielders inside the circle there. It's 4 dots, but 2 4s for Kirsten Kalicharan, who faces every delivery of the 4th. Lashings, 31 for the loss of 1.
What got into you?
At SoCal, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Change of ends for Rusty Theron. They're going to give him a chance to bowl at that softer, skiddy end and see if they can get something to stay low and find its way to the stumps here against Harpreet Singh or Kirsten Kalicharan. Both of them now into double figures. thrown the 38-year-old from Vereniging, South Africa. Longtime USA international now, one of just 13 cricketers, by the way, to represent 2 national teams. I think David Visa might be one of those. Enjoyed seeing him at MLC. First delivery is crunched by Harpreet Singh. Deep protection is all on the onside, but the main protection you need over there right now is a helmet in case that falls out of the sky onto your head. Hold the pose, Harry. That ball seems to have come onto the bat just fine for his liking. Little bit of width, although he doesn't use it to flick it to the offside. Decent bit of bounce there, and of course variable bounce, the enemy of batters everywhere. Connects with that one, sends it to the offside. Nobody over there. And that one's over the rope on the fly as well. Harpreet Singh off to a flyer here. Very similar delivery. This one didn't come up as high on Harry, and he hits it from a little bit further behind himself. Now the question becomes, where do you put the deep fielders? Because he's hitting it to all parts. David White at the moment is at backward square, and then at a rather wide-ish long on. The other deep fielder, who's too far away for me to identify. Third man and fine leg up in the circle. Two sixes so far. What's next? That one gets a piece of the body of Harpreet Singh, but line appeared to be well down leg. See the youngster Sanjay Krishnamurthy there for a bit. Growing up on the job after being part of the MLC's San Francisco Unicorns, was tasked with captaining this team for a handful of games before Angelo Pereira returned from Sri Lanka. That one up, but a little bit more cramping. We saw that when he got some width on offer, Harpreet Singh could put it away. That one forces the arms back into the body, T-Rex style. In case you were ever wondering how a dinosaur would bat in cricket. Can you imagine how high up the knee roll would be on one of those? Harry pulls out of that shot, and it's now 3 dots on the bounce. On the one hand, you want to avoid soaking up pressure. On the other hand, don't do anything rash. Boom, boom, gone has been a refrain here. That one targeting the stumps and just over the top of the bails. Harry may have left that on length, but the line was utterly terrifying. 167 the strike rate so far for Harpreet Singh. Last ball of the over. Another one cramping him inside. Rusty able to adjust the line mid-over and make sure that he keeps that a bit closer to Harpreet's body. Not able to do a whole lot with those balls in tight. 5 overs gone, 43 for the loss of 1 for the Lashings.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
meeting of the minds there between Vikash Mohan, Anji Pereira, and Sanjay Krishnamurthy. Sanjay, the lieutenant captain, the deputy captain, as it were, and his captain now that the team has been made whole again. It'll be Sanjay continuing on from the San Pedro end. Dangerous delivery there in terms of the way Kalicharan handled it. Looked to give himself some room, took a big step forward and a big whack at the ball. Very lucky that Aditya Ganesh did not handle that. Could have definitely been a stumping opportunity. Oh, my mistake. Actually, a single run on that one. Must have actually gotten some bat on it. Harry nearly leaves that one in the air long enough for the leap of Saideep Ganesh at backward square. But it's going to be another boundary shot for Harry. Bona fide chance for a moment there. The ball uppish. A little bit toe-ended, so it didn't fly quite as high and far and quick as he might have liked. Abhishek Paradkar standing in for East Bay Blazers fans everywhere with the hands to the head. This second wicket partnership approaching half-century level. Much less flighted ball from Sanjay there. That should be a single. It does appear with the ankle injury here, Harpreet Singh looking to deal in boundaries wherever possible. Knows that for the time being, taking quick twos is not really on the table. Kalicharan hit on the pad, but well down leg, and the decisive signal given by our umpire. We'll take a look at this here. Even the impact appears to be outside leg stump. Admittedly, we're looking at it from somewhat of an angle, but ball heading directly away from us does not look like it was going to find its way back. This ball dragged to mid-wicket for a single. That'll put Harpreet back on strike. So far this season, this is his favorite kind of bowling to face. Came into the weekend with a 175 strike rate against lefties. Now one a leg side wide. And that does bring up the prior single, rather, from Kalicharan. Brings up the 50 partnership. Actually, rather, the wide did, because there was a wide on the board when Clinton was dismissed. So now the 50 partnership. And now the end of the power play. 51 for 1, one of the better power play spells here of batting this season. And it certainly didn't start the way the Lashings would have expected or would have wanted. But they've managed to recover from that early knock, that early loss of Reuben Clinton, and are now sitting at 51 for 1 as the fielding restrictions release.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Continuing with spin and now double barrel from both ends, as it'll be the leg spinner CP Riswan into the attack for East Bay Blazers. First delivery doesn't quite have the radar. That'll be a wide ball here. that might be the end of Kirsten Kalicheran. We are waiting for the signal from the square leg umpire, and it is in the affirmative. Just as yesterday, a spin bowler managing to bait him to come forward and give up his wicket stumped. 51, the partnership comes to an end here between him and Harpreet Singh, and he drags himself forward. Aditya Ganesh, the good collect, and no chance there. The bat put back into the popping crease pro forma there, but without really much chance. And that is wicket number 2 down for the SoCal Lashings. East Bay Blazers looking to try to pull their way back in the middle overs. Certainly the way that it happened yesterday. They have managed to keep the hot start going at least a little bit longer. And now it is 2 of their bigger hitters this year. Harpreet Singh, admittedly, just in the last handful of matches, has begun to really come into his own. But Mrinal Patel, yesterday's 1-off-3 notwithstanding, has been in a vein of form. A 33 and a 55 in the last 2 innings of the Labor Day weekend. He'll be wanting to navigate leg spin carefully here because it is lefty spin and lefty pace that he's particularly good against. One thing to watch out for is that Patel has lost his wicket a decent bit to runouts this season, and it might even be the sort of thing to settle him down a little bit, knowing that his partner at the other end is a bit hobbled. A slip in place, though, for the new batter, Angie Pereira, just behind Aditya Ganesh. First ball, not one that's going to allow, though, for much in the way of slip fielding. In on the pads and worked away for a single. Mrinal Patel underway. The captain looking for a rebound from yesterday. Former USA international, made the senior team in 2015 after some youth cricket in 2006. Made the trip to the World Cup in Sri Lanka. Harpreet works that one off his body, but that'll just be a dot ball here for Rizwan. A ton of flight on that one, and that is utterly wrecked by Harpreet Singh. That was the full toss I think I've ever seen. Need some sports science or some StatCast to tell me how high that delivery got out of the hand. You can see on Rizwan's face, oh no, as that leaves the hand. And it gets the treatment it deserved. Harpreet Singh, though, doubled over a little bit after that. You can see that in the follow-through from the shot. Hope that the ankle is all right here as he moves to 36 after hitting his 7th boundary rather, of the innings, and he works that one to the offside. No run there. So far, 34 of Harpreet's 36 runs have come by way of boundary shots. 4 4s and 3 6s. Last delivery of this over. Half volley punches right back past Rizwan. That'll be a single, and he is definitely struggling right now as he hops his way down the pitch. Takes just the 3rd single of the innings. But he moves to 37, and with 7 overs gone, he's got SoCal on the move, 60 for 2.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Harpreet Singh rolling back the years a little bit here. As we told you, in 2021, a 40.6 average, a 159 strike rate, and a 118 high score. In 2021, an outing like this was, well, it was just de rigueur. A little bit of steepling bounce there for Pereira as that one pops up on Singh. Doesn't get any bat to it, though. First delivery of today's action for the captain, Angelo Pereira. That one in the air for a moment, but it does find a gap on the infield. Chased down and gotten back in, another single here. Pereira, the 33-year-old from Moratuwa, Sri Lanka. A DNP tournament for Major League Cricket, but he was drafted into the Seattle Orcas. Saw him making himself at home in that club when I made the trip down to Morrisville for the North Carolina leg. Pulls out of his run up there. Yesterday, one of many spin bowlers on both the East Bay side and the Silicon Valley side that benefited from the way this pitch was behaving. 3 wickets for 13 runs yesterday. That one guided by Mrinal, but no run on there. Picked up the wickets of Sri Krishna Anantaraju, Nisarg Patel, and Devam Srivastava yesterday, en route to his team holding them to just 80 runs in those 20 overs. Didn't manage to bowl them out as Mrinal Patel takes a single. If it weren't for the fact that I had records that show me that from ESPN Cricinfo that Angelo Pereira was in the Lankan Premier League, I'd almost have believed that he just stayed in Seattle with the Orcas because his debut in MILC came up at Tollgate Farms. That one, another single to long off. I think Harpreet Singh heard me mention how few singles he'd run, and now he's looking for more of them. Righty-lefty combination as he continues to try to shake the bees out of that ankle, but he has put on an excellent performance so far. That one ripped by Mrinal Patel, but that'll hold up in the grass long enough for Vikash Mohan to circle around it at long on. 3 singles there at the end, 4 from the over, the 8th over of our first innings. Lashings going at exactly 8 and over, 64 for 2.
What got into you?
At SoCal, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Early wicket of Reuben Clinton has not held back SoCal Lashings at all today as they look to pick up their opener and one of the leading scorers in minor league cricket this season. Harpreet Singh doing most of the damage so far, 39 off his 26. Kalacharan 13 off 16 before he was stumped off the bowling of CP Rizwan. Rizwan will continue from the Barrett Avenue end here for over number 9. And he'll face off with Mrinal Patel to start things. Another flighted ball, and we saw one that, to be honest, for me, redefined the word flighted, that Harpreet Singh deposited over the cow corner boundary for 6. That one a little more what you picture when you say that word. Can't quite find the tram line with that one. A wide delivery and a free run for the Lashings. Patel trying to reach the pitch of that delivery and turn it into a either a full toss or a half volley. May well have split the difference and turned it into a Yorker. Couldn't do much with it as it worked out. That one might have been a full toss. Gets away from Aditya Ganesh. No wide this time. Patel has watched a couple go by and jammed one into the ground. Good comeback over so far for Rizwan. Struggling to read the flight in the air, and I imagine not very helpful in that is the variable wind. You're trying to read the length on this thing, which is just well above the eye line, and then try to deal with the bounce. If he gets his length right, it is really, really hard to deal with. Full toss there. Murnal gets a little bad on it. Can't hit it authoritatively enough to beat Angelo Pereira. Besides the wide ball, 5 dots so far for CP Rizwan. Leg spinner, very effective thus far. And Patel just has to bunt that. If not for the wide delivery, it would have been a maiden here in just his second match in minor league cricket for CP Rizwan. Looking to put the brakes on the SoCal Lashings just a little bit here, 65 for the loss of 2. The skipper continuing from the San Pedro end. Initially did not appeal for that wicket. Aditya Ganesh did. And then Pereira turned and realized, oh, I need to stop yelling at my wicketkeeper. I need to yell at the umpire. And by then, there's nothing given. We'll take a look at this as Singh was way across his stumps. That looks pretty good. I share the frustration. That might be one where Angelo Pereira forgot to appeal because he was about ready to celebrate. If anything, maybe an issue with impact being outside off stump. Let's take a look. I mean, given the trajectory of that, I have to imagine the only way that's not a wicket is if Harpreet got a piece of it. At any rate, Singh survives. And after a pair of singles, he's back on strike now, 40 from his 28. Rips that one straight back past Angie Pereira. Paradkar and Vikash Mohan close like pincers in the area behind their bowler and restrict that to just a single run here for Harpreet. Middle overs this season is where SoCal Lashings have had their struggles. Sometimes the run rate slows, the dots increase, the average drops because you start looking for that pressure release shot instead of just trying to work the strike around. This is an example of what they're aiming for. 4 consecutive singles. Especially with the lefty-righty combination, keep the legs of the East Bay Blazers churning. There's a big slap here from Harpreet. Long run for Vikash Mohan, but he will get there to stop it at the boundary. And it'll just be a 5th single on the trot to finish off over number 10. Lashings at 70 for 2.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
And a look at our scorecard so far. Ruben Clinton, the early wicket on a ball that, tricked him just the same way as the one that dismissed Shehan Jayasuriya earlier. But otherwise, it has been all Lashings. Just one other wicket taken, that of Kirsten Kalichan, and Harpreet Singh batting on one day has gone 42 off 30, make it 48 off 31, and that one feels like it should be worth 7 or 8. A one-handed demolition job. CP Rizwan has had his occasional issues, as many leg spinners do, with the length sometimes being very off. That's another full toss to Harpreet Singh, and he got that one a good 20 or 30 feet past the boundary patrolled by David White over at Cow Corner. That one took some retrieving, but at the very least here, when you're at Morgan Hill as opposed to Davis, you don't have to worry about a water hazard. Great start to the over for Harpreet. Rizwan looking to get himself back into it. Better length there. Singh down on one knee. He'll stay there for just a second. Gather his wits. Approaching what could well be a half century here. We are on that watch right now. Clears his body and fires that one to the man at long on, but picked up by Rusty Theron. It'll be just a single. Harpreet moves to 49. Rizwan again with a lot of flight on this, and Singh so far has done very well when necessary to use his feet to turn some of these into full tosses. That, the 6 that he hit, well over Cow Corner. Patel on strike now. Hits this one high in the air. Could be a chance, but it does have the Sunoco to make it to the boundary on the fly. Theron thought he was in the game for a moment, but no such luck. Another maximum here in this over, and Rizwan, despite the one taken wicket, has been a bit erratic and a bit expensive. Bit of a flatter delivery here from CP Rizwan, swatted to the offside. An interesting combination right now of the Lashings, to some extent playing like they got nothing to lose, because, well, if they do lose today's game, that's pretty much it for them. No realistic chance of getting into the playoffs at 4 and 6, because even if Seattle and Golden State did land there, the net run rate's just not good enough. The combination of that and the fact that Harpreet kind of has to swing from his heels because he's not really going to be doing a lot of running. We'll see if he got any bat on that as it scoots to the side of the stumps. He's going to have to scurry his way over. Was that a leg by or a single? The question of which it is answers our big question, which is that Harpreet Singh has just completed a half century here, and it's his first one since September 18th, 2021. His high score all time here in minor league cricket, a 118 off 53 that he had against the Hollywood Master Blasters on the final day of that season. Also had a 59 and a 58 that year, those coming against Seattle and against Golden State. But it had been a rough 2022 for him. 2021, he'd had a couple of decent moments and certainly got an idea of what he might be capable of now if fully healthy and fully feeling himself with that trio of sixes that ended the chase against Seattle last weekend. But right now, Harpreet's power on full display. 4 4s and 4 6s, providing 40 of his 50. And he is a half centurion today. Part of a 51-run partnership with Kirsten Kalicharan after he came in for the early dismissal of Ruben Clinton, and now trying to build a little something with Rinal Patel. Patel a steady 12 off 14, half of that coming from a 6, soaked up a little bit of pressure against Rizwan earlier. And it'll be Angelo Pereira switching to left arm spin from the opposite side. Harpreet keeps the strike here at 85 for 2 after 11 overs. Pereira an economical 9 so far off of his 2 overs of work. And Harpreet is down at the other end after trying to come to a stop following that single. Managed to guide that wide of the man on the inner circle, but he is in some discomfort right now. Taking a moment here to gather his thoughts. Jekishan Palaha, the 12th man, coming out to check on him along with Sanchit Sandhu. It's a decent enough looking shot here, and Rizwan, as he threw it back in, Harry had crumpled to the ground at the other end. He is back to his feet. He'll be the man at the non-striker's end for this next delivery from Angie Pereira. Rinal able to work that one to the onside for a single. A Willis Reed style performance so far today from Harpreet Singh. And he has ensured that this SoCal Lashings lineup does not suffer the same kind of swoon that it did in the middle overs yesterday. They got their 12 off Theron, went for 8 and 9 off Krishnamurthy and Rizwan. There were a few cheap overs in there. This one in the air, and it might be the end of Harpreet Singh, and it is. Abhishek Paradkar catches that one at shoelace level. But a Herculean innings today from Harpreet Singh, who will depart with his first half-century in nearly 2 years here in MILC. 51 off 37, 51 off one leg. A masterclass in batting, particularly from the power perspective. 40 runs coming by way of boundary shots. For a moment, thought this might be another 4. But it hangs in the air long enough. Abhishek Paradkar, the substitute fielder, able to settle under and keep it from kissing the grass. And that'll be all for Harpreet. Big contribution, though. SoCal Lashings now 86 for the loss of 3. New man at the crease is the 41-year-old from Westmoreland, Jamaica, Elmore Hutchinson. Longtime USA international and somebody who is renowned as one of the Lashings finishers in a little bit earlier than usual, but able to get this promotion up the order to 5, by and large, because of the amount of deliveries eaten up productively, I might add, by Harpreet Singh and Rinal Patel, and for that matter, Kirsten Kalicharan. So far, they've managed to get some tap to pretty much every bowler on the East Bay side, with the lone exception of Angie Pereira. Everybody else with an economy somewhere between 8 and 9. That one struck pad, and Rinal Patel is given out, and Angie Pereira has gone boom, boom. The skipper putting his hand up and saying, I'm going to get us out of this. The Lashings have put together an excellent inning so far through 12, but have now seen both members of that partnership knocked over in the span of 3 deliveries. The only thing there might have been any doubt about was whether impact was in line with off stump or just outside of it. But certainly looked like it was headed on towards the stumps. We do notice a somewhat interesting angle taken here by the umpire. You see him scoot to the left. He's picked up by our own Vishal Tiku. That's an interesting decision there. It does somewhat change the optics of it. So my day job as a chemistry professor, I'm always teaching students about parallax. You need to be in line at eye level with the thing you're trying to measure, or else it's going to come out a little funny. I proved that by holding up meter sticks next to myself, or in front of myself, and asking one student who's my height and one student who's about 5 feet tall to come over and take a measurement, and inevitably, rather different results. So you do wonder a little bit about that. With that being the doubt, it may have looked a little different to our umpire, but either way, Mrinal Patel is done on the final ball of the 12th. It's Ravi Timbawala now out to partner Elmore Hutchinson, as we will see the SoCal Lashings transition to a new portion of the innings. Their half centurion Harpreet Singh in the shed, both figuratively and I'm sure quite literally on ice. And it's Sanjay Krishnamurthy back into the attack for the East Bay Blazers. He went for 5, 8, and 5 in his 3, or rather 5, 8, and 8 in his 3 overs of work. No, that's not correct. He's only had 2 overs in 5 and I was looking at the wrong one. 8 and 8 for his 2 overs. So far, a pretty tight start to the 13th. Trying to cramp the style of the 2 new batters. Timbawala trying to give himself some room. Krishnamurthy not able to flag that one down. It will be a run. Elmore Hutchinson will be just happy to see off the left arm orthodox spin. That has not been a happy matchup for him this season. He's got a pretty big pace spin split in general, 154 versus 117 for the strike rate. That falls all the way to 56 against lefties. Krishnamurthy, a half-hearted appeal. Less of a scream and more of a, huh? Perhaps? Hutchinson smothers that, pushes it to the offside, but no run there. A tight over for Sanjay Krishnamurthy here in the 13th. As East Bay Blazers bowlers look to pull this one back. LA Lashings going at about 7 per. Just 2 off that one, 90 for the loss of 4.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
The spin just keeps coming. It'll now be the youngster Hari Krishna Nair, the under-19 player in today's 11, with a bit of off-spin. Yesterday took 2 wickets, knocked over Vedan Jain and Chad Britsky in his 3 overs of work and gave up just 8 runs. Very effective stuff. That one worked to the offside, no run there. That one scalded right past the hand of Hari Krishna Nair. Quick single worked by Timbawala, but these two will look to rotate strike. Timbawala pretty quick between the wickets. And this is a side where they want to attack with long balls. That is going to hang in the air, not long enough, and Pereira was waiting for it, said please come down. There's a bit of a breeze blowing in from that side of the ground, but it just had enough. Sunoco makes it over the boundary rope for a 6. Ruben Clinton told us that's the side where you want to attack from. It's coming onto the bat a lot more reliably at that end of the pitch. Pereira did his level best, but the ball just at the end of the day, a little too long. Ironically, might have needed to be about as tall as Elmore to have much chance to flag it down. And now the rotation of strike. Hutchinson able to work the quick single and feed it to Ravi Timbawala for a little bit. There's one punch through a gap on the offside for another single for Timbawala. Today's match so far defined by a 51 individual score for a hobbled Harpreet Singh and a 51-run partnership after the loss of an opener with just 1 run on the board, as that one will go past Hari Nair again for another single. Mostly kept it tight, a couple of singles worked, but the 6, the big hit in the over, 10 from it, and Lashings bring up the 100 here with 6 overs left to build up a total, 100 for 4. Nearing death overs territory, let's take a look at how the ghost was given up by each of the SoCal Lashing batters so far. A tricky ball that took out Ruben Clinton, followed then by the stumping of Kirsten Kalicharan. Harpreet Singh almost got enough of that to clear Abhishek Paradkar. Elmore Hutchinson, meanwhile, as we're back to live action, gets plenty of this delivery off Sanjay Krishnamurthy, and after a very economical third over of work, the final over of Sanjay's spell is going to start with a maximum. Looking to build this partnership into something that can take this total clear. We saw San Diego do a brilliant job of it in our morning game, as we get another peek at Elmore Hutchinson going yard. Half volley on a 5th stump line. Elmore knows how to feast on that all day. Sanjay looking for the comeback, gets that one pounded into the ground, a Baltimore chop. I wonder if any other cricket-playing nations have an equivalent to the Baltimore chop, named after who knows what other cities. A Calcutta thwack. Brisbane boshing, I don't know, something along those lines. Big rip taken by Hutchinson, but does not make contact with the ball. A wide earlier there from Krishnamurthy. That one dropped into the area around mid-off. Enough time to scamper a single. Ravi Timbawala will take over here with 2 balls left in the 15th. Timbawala tries to work that back behind point. Not enough oomph, not enough timing to beat the two fielders in that vicinity. Final ball of Sanjay's spell, end of the middle overs coming up here. That one pushed to mid-on. Long run in for Rusty Theron at the boundary. That'll be a single to finish off the spell. Krishnamurthy does not strike, does pick up does concede 27 runs over the course of his 4 overs, a little over a run a ball. Lashings going at a bit better than sevens, 109 for 4 through 15.
गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Start of the death overs means time for Rusty. Theron will take the ball. East Bay's also got a couple of overs left of Carmine LaRue. You would have to imagine that is 4 of the 5 remaining. And the question is, which of the spinners do you hand the one other over to? You've got CP Rizwan and Angelo Pereira that each have 1 left. Probably be tempted to bowl the captain at this point. 2 for 12 off of 3 overs for Pereira. 1 for 25 off 3. And certainly if you've got a team that is going to be swinging from their heels to try to build a defendable total, the guy that has occasionally conceded bombs is probably not your best bet at this point. But we'll see what Angelo Pereira decides. Does he put his own hand up? Or does he give Rizwan a chance? It'll be Rusty Theron, though, for the 16th. That one comes up and nearly bites Ravi Timbawala. But he'll work it for a single and try and get Elmore on strike here, and you want to feed him the strike against a right-arm pacer. This is where the fact that East Bay is now going with Rusty and Carmi, as opposed to, say, Rusty and Brody Couch, a pair of right-armers, might come in handy. That gave them all manner of trouble, especially Rusty, Brody, and Nawaz Khan. During the series in Seattle, they were absolutely wrecked by Shadley Van Skalkvik. And Elmore Hutchinson, at least in terms of his strike rates, has got a profile very similar to Shadley's. 168 against right-arm pace, 114 against left arm, 56 against left-arm orthodox spin, and has barely faced any right-arm spin so far. 5 off 5 balls against offies and leggies. Hutchinson will find the gap. That's going to run, long run for David White, and he's not going to be able to cut that off before it reaches the boundary. A 4 right away. Hutchinson doing what Hutchinson does. Coming into the weekend, 9 boundary shots in 41 deliveries faced against right-arm pacers, and that is just a delightful cover drive. Might not quite be the way you draw it up in the manual. Doesn't hold the pose. Of course, wasn't entirely sure if it was going to make it to the boundary at first, so needed to get off on the run there. But 5 from the first 2 in this over. This has been East Bay's primary issue. He'll work that one to the onside for a single. Again, continuing to look to force the issue a bit, exchange strike regularly. Not a righty-lefty combination here, but just continue to let everybody get comfortable, feeling leather on willow. Let them both feel like they're in the game, make sure nobody feels like they're under tremendous pressure. SoCal have done a much better job of that today than they did in the middle of the piece. They're just looking for the crescendo finish now at 115 for 4. East Bay trying to restrict that. And another one that is almost a photocopy of Elmore Hutchinson's ball from earlier, but this time around, White a bit wider at his position there at sweeper cover. Able to cut that off for just a single. Elmore back on strike. Hutchinson works that one to the onside. Chance for two here. They are going to take it. The aggressive call. And the throw is a little bit wide of the stumps. Coming from the man at square leg. Nice quick two, and now Elmore may try to swing from the heels on this one. Rusty needs his best ball right now. Neatly cut to the offside. That's going to be a single. Elmore will retain strike. And we'll see if it is Carmine LaRue coming at you from the Barrett Avenue end on the other side of this break. 119 for 4.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Four overs left here in this first innings. Lashings doing what they came here to do, going at about 7.5 runs and over. Current projection would put them at a score of 148. And if they do reach that, it'll be their best first innings score of the season. They topped out at 144 for 7. That, a nice harbinger, came in their victory over Silicon Valley. One of only 3 times ever that a SoCal team has knocked off a NorCal team. That is wrecked to a very fine mid-on, but who cares where it is? It's beyond the rope. It's another 6 for Elmore. Retain the strike with that single on the final delivery against Theron. And he might not have the same kind of strike rate against lefties, but tell that bruised cricket ball that. Goodness gracious. After a couple of damn squibs yesterday, to be perfectly honest, a rough first innings. We're going to pick up win number 4 and throw a wrench into this playoff race. SoCal trying to do exactly that as Hutchinson will rotate the strike with a single there. Carmine LaRue last year, 9 wickets at 18.1 runs per. So far he's given up 25 and claimed 1. That one came on the second official delivery of the match as that one's run back behind point for another Ravi Timbawala single. Claimed Reuben Clinton's wicket with a ball that found one of those demons in the pitch, stayed very low and knocked out the bottom of center stump. That's a full toss from LaRue, hit deep to the offside, might hang up. Unable to secure it is Sanjay Krishnamurthy. That's going to wind up being a very long single. That one may be just a little bit too wide for Elmore to get the right part of the bat to it. Timbawala opens the face of the bat, runs it down to third man. Thought about taking the single, but he'll scamper back. Saidi Ganesh quickly to it. Timbawala steps up, clips this one off the outer edge of the bat. And a bit of a stumble out of the boundary, but it is taken care of by Abhishek Paradkar. Whipped back in, and it'll be a pair of runs for Robbie Timbawala to finish it. Hutchinson will be on strike when we come back for the 18th. LA Lashings 130 for 4. As we get a look here at the fielding attempt from Abhishek Paradkar, managed to secure the ball and then lost the footing. Did seem to be within the boundary rope, and therefore no dramatics, no extra runs on that. And you certainly would have known had he misstepped, because he did that directly in front of the SoCal Lashings pavilion, and I'm sure they would have let us know. Timbawala going at a steady, slightly under a run-a-ball pace right now, 69, the 9 from 13. Hutchinson has been the source of the boom-boom and the acceleration. 183 his strike rate with a 33 for 18 off 18. He's dialed long distance 3 times, but he's going to have to do it again against left arm spin, which, as we told you, has been his bugaboo so far this season. Came into the weekend having faced just 16 deliveries of it, had only managed 9 runs, and lost his wicket once. Pereira, the spin equivalent of a Yorker there. Good length. Not targeting the stumps, so Elmore spared, but tough to do anything with that ball. Better length for Elmore that time. Vikash Mohan camping out, but that is going to clear him and bounce just past our own Vishal Tiku here in the broadcast tent. Another 6 for Big Elmore. This time around, the length just not quite what Angie would have liked. He was a little fuller on the one before, and it snuck under Elmore's bat. This time around, it snuck over everything. Sneak might not be the right verb. That was loud. Bats that one into the pitch, as Pereira comes back with another length like that first delivery. A swing and a miss. Ganesh not able to collect cleanly. I don't think Hutchinson was out of his crease, though. So the one big hit, nothing else so far, as Lashings continue to go at this roughly 7.5 to 8 runs a ball pace. That one tapped into the ground and a bump ball straight back to Pereira. With one exception, he has been absolutely on target here. This will be the final delivery of his spell. Full toss, whacked, but it's going to be held by the park. Sanjay Krishnamurthy catches that at long on, and that's the end of Elmore Hutchinson on 39 from 24. Pereira yesterday 3 for 13 as he claimed Anantaraju, Nisarg Patel, and Devam Srivastava. Today he picks up his 3rd wicket against 18 runs on his final delivery of the spell. It was juicy, but again, very similar to the earlier one that didn't make it to the boundary, just a little bit too wide for Elmore to get the good part of the bat to it. And compliments to Eric on the camera work there, following that straight into Sanjay Krishnamurthy's hands. We've got a fantastic team here at Morgan Hill. Eric and Rafa today on the camera work, Vishal Tiku at the controls. My name's Joe Hickey, and I'm having a great time here. This is how you spend a weekend. 136 for 5 as the 5th wicket falls. But they'll replace one guy capable of finishing with a flourish with another guy capable of finishing with a flourish, Abhimanyu Rajap. Rough day yesterday, bowled on the second delivery that he faced. But still with happy memories of what he did in the opener against San Diego, 39 not out off 18. It is Carmine LaRue to bowl this 19th over. Abhishek Paradkar not able to handle that ball in the deep cleanly, and as a result they do give up a second, and I think you could hear on our field mic his frustration, which is particularly impressive because I think it's across the field from him. There's one worked to the onside, looking again for a quick 2. Timbawala pushing his strike rate up with a pair of doubles to start the over against Carmine LaRue. Lashings up to 140 now. Timbawala's best effort of the season so far was against Golden State, a 22 off 22. Reaches out to a very wide ball from LaRue. Picks up a single and will give the strike to Abhimanyu Rajap. Team's co-owner with DJ Gosain and vice captain. Comes in here with a 165 strike rate at the start of the weekend. Took a slight hit from the 0 off 2 as he works a single to start here and is off the mark. Has absolutely feasted off spin. He would have loved to have seen CP Rizwan come into the attack. There's a bouncer, and Timbawala will use the altitude, work that over the man at third man. Long run for a backward point. He'll chase it down, and it'll be another pair. Good running between the wickets, good aggressive batsmanship. If you're SoCal, you'd love to finish this off with a flourish. Timbawala cuts this one to the offside. That's another single. This time around, he has said, Abhi, you stay put. And he will retain the strike with 3 doubles, 3 singles, 9 from the over. Carmine LaRue finishes with figures of 1 for 38. Expensive despite the early potential tone-setting wicket. Lashings have had no problem from that point forward, though. 145 for 5, 6 balls left to build the total.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Rusty Theron handed the ball from the San Pedro end for the final over of this first innings. Elmore Hutchinson no longer out there, and that might be part of why his captain is a little more comfortable handing it to him. Rusty, the consummate competitor, but some guys just see right arm pace really, really well. Timbawala scoops this over his own shoulder. Did that make it over on the fly? Not quite. It'll be a 4 for the shot to a very, very, very fine leg. Just from the position we are, I couldn't tell. Is that a intentional thing or a mishit? A little of both. Definitely wanted to go over his shoulder a little bit with it. Whatever it is, it got the job done. 149 for 5 now. By the way, snuck up on us because it happened so quickly. Elmore and Ravi, nearly another 50 partnership in this innings. Here's the bouncer from Rusty Theron. The signal here is indeed That's going to go down as one of the balls above shoulder height on the over, but came through at about head height. I think Timbawala hoping for a wide that would have brought up the 150. Still on 149, 4 balls left. That one's going to sneak under, so talk about changing your eye level. Theron fires one up there, a short ball bouncer right at your eyebrows. Next one's buzzing your ankles. The roller has activated behind us, ready for its cameo in the innings break. 3 balls left till we switch over. Ravi Timbawala runs that to the man at third man. A single here, and that does bring up the 150 for the Lashings. They've got 2 balls to see how high they can push this total. Most runs they've scored in an innings this season, 156, and that in response to 184 for 2 for Seattle. This is already the highest scoring first innings total they've posted in 2023. Big swing and a miss from Rajap. They're going to try to take the bye, and they will do so successfully, running it to 151. Good work here, even as he missed. That one a little high and wide of the stumps. Timbawala off like a shot. If anything, Abhimanyu Rajap was the one that was going to be in a little bit of danger there. If it had been a direct hit, Timbawala might have gone. Final ball of the innings. And Timbawala will work that over the top of a drawn-in fine leg. And that'll be a 4 to finish things off. Highest first innings total of the season for SoCal Lashings. And just 1 run shy of the highest total they've put up all year. And they could not have picked a better time for it. They have set a target of 156 for the East Bay Blazers to chase this down and get to 6-1 and stamp their own ticket for postseason play. For SoCal, if they can defend it, they'll stay alive and be very, very invested spectators next week as we see Ravi Timbawala's finishing stroke to one of the better batting innings we've seen from a SoCal side this season. Lots to like about the batting card. Timbawala, with a couple boundaries there at the end, worked his way all the way to better than a run of ball. 26 off 23 for him. Elmore Hutchinson, a high-octane cameo there as he was able to add 39 off 24. He was responsible for 5 boundary shots, 4 of those maximums. Harpreet Singh, the story of the match, really. 51 off 37. We do see here apparently Hamza Tariq has been wearing an Abhishek Paradkar jersey, so it is not that Paradkar has been in as a sub fielder the whole time. I wondered. I saw Paradkar moving around earlier with a penny on. So apparently Hamza Tariq, the catch to finally dismiss Harpreet Singh, but that after a warrior-like 51 off 37, his first half century in 2 years. Top of the order didn't fire, and this time around it was the middle that managed to take them and pick them up and provide a good total here to defend. We'll take a look at the bowling numbers as well for the East Bay Blazers, and it's a bit of carnage right here. Only one who really saved face, the 3 for 18 off Angie Pereira, who has had a fantastic weekend, going at 3 for 13 yesterday and 3 for 18 today. Otherwise, just Rizwan and LaRue taking wickets. LaRue early, Rizwan a bit later. And everybody else traveling for upwards of 8, 9, 10 runs and over, except for Sanjay keeping it just under 7. We'll give a look to the first innings highlights before we take our break and remind ourselves how we got here. And it didn't look particularly exciting for SoCal right out of the gate. Ruben Clinton baited by yet another ball that stayed down from that end, but Harpreet Singh very rapidly showing us what he was going to be capable of. That's 6, a signal of intent. He would work this one off the pads for 4 against Rusty Theron, showing he didn't care which pacer was coming at him. He was going to punish any mistakes in length. That one a bit short from LaRue, put away to the mid-wicket area. Kirsten Kalacharan, a short-lived innings at 13 for 16. Here didn't get credit for those runs, but provided a nice shield to keep Aditya Ganesh from finding that one. He gets every bit of the credit for this one, though, here. one of his 2 fours on the day to give him 13 runs. There's the other one to the offside. Both of those coming off of Sanjay Krishnamurthy. Back to pace, back to Harry, and back to flying out of the ground. Harpreet Singh, 4 fours, 4 sixes. Probably roughly 40% of our highlight package, if I had to guess. Sanjay Krishnamurthy, would he fare any better? Nah, not really. Harpreet Singh continuing to roll throughout this innings. Knew he couldn't do a whole lot between the wickets, and so swung from the heels whenever possible. Angie Pereira put himself into the, CP Rizwan put himself into the attack there and was able to take a quick wicket. But a few balls later, the fullest of all full tosses, that one getting a good 9 or 10 feet off the ground. And then Harpreet Singh said, 9 or 10 feet? Why not 19 feet off the ground? And crushed it to long on. A call here and a claim for LBW not given against Harry. As Angelo Pereira was trying to make that work, there's another full toss from Rizwan. It's a danger for leg spinners. It's a tough to replicate action, and sometimes you miss big time. When he missed, Harpreet hit. Same for Mrinal Patel, got in on the action as well. Mrinal just 13 off 16, same as Kalacharan. But that's 6, a useful one as he soaked up a bit of pressure. Harpreet Singh, though, the first of 2 to go down to Angie Pereira in the same over as he flew out to Hamza Tariq on that one, not Abhishek Paradkar as we established. And then moments later, Mrinal Patel gone LBW to the East Bay skipper. That would bring up Elmore Hutchinson and Ravi Timbawala, and this would be the other nearly 50-run partnership. This one just enough Sunoco in the tank to get over the line. Angie Pereira in hot pursuit, vain though it may have been. And now against Sanjay Krishnamurthy, getting whiplash trying to follow the trajectory of that one off the bat of Elmore Hutchinson, another one of his 4 sixes. He doesn't have to bludgeon everything, though. Every now and again, a nice, delicate play like that for his only 4. Back to bludgeoning, off of Carmine LaRue. Big signal of intent here late in the piece. Pereira would bowl himself for an over at the death. Hutchinson would start off, continuing where he had left off, trying to drop that one into the broadcast tent. But just after that, a little bit of extra width, and even though it was a full toss, Hutchinson wouldn't get enough of it. And Sanjay Krishnamurthy would settle under to make the catch. Timbawala, though, took up the mantle, said, I'm going to hit a few boundaries myself, scooped that one over his own shoulder to start the 20th against Theron. And then this one behind square leg, another one that reaches the boundary rope. That one to finish off the innings at 155 for 5. So the target, 156 for East Bay. If they can make it there, they stamp a ticket officially for the postseason and keep themselves in first place in the Western Division. If they fail to do so, things get really interesting between them and Silicon Valley looking forward to next week. And even more importantly, the SoCal Lashings remain definitively alive for a postseason berth and get ready to watch Golden State and Seattle very carefully. Which one's going to happen? That answer is about an hour and a half away. We're looking forward to seeing it just like you are. We hope you'll be back in about 15 for the run chase. 156, the target for the East Bay Blazers. Welcome back to Morgan Hill, California, the Morgan Hill Outdoor Sports Complex, the site of 4 games this weekend in 2023 Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championships. Started off with a couple of non-competitive ones on Saturday, but the first one today was a blast, and this one looks set up for a fantastic finish as the SoCal Lashings will look to defend 155 runs against the onslaught of batting from the East Bay Blazers. And the Blazers, without doubt, have got the quality to get this done. The SoCal Lashings, without doubt, have got the bowling to try to restrain the run rate and take early wickets. It's going to be a power versus power sort of thing inside the power play. Vikash Mohan and Aditya Ganesh did very well inside the power play before the return of Saideep. And then yesterday we got a bit of a throwback performance from Saideep Ganesh. A 57 for no loss power play yesterday for the East Bay Blazers as they were working to set a total against San Diego. A 72-run opening partnership, which was right on brand for Ganesh and White as they hummed Reunited and It Feels So Good in their heads over the course of 10 overs. But we would see that once the openers departed, it got a little bit hairy for East Bay toward the end of that innings against San Diego. And at the death, they lost 4 wickets for just 44 runs, going at almost 9s, not quite the rate that you're accustomed to, as this is a team that until Seattle went absolutely bonkers against these SoCal Lashings, East Bay were the leaders in runs per over at the death at nearly 11 per. And so the structure of the innings looks accordingly, but it's strength versus strength as SoCal are monsters of the power play with ball in hand. First delivery right on target from the youngster Ayan Desai. Abhimanyu Rajab tells me that the Lashings could not be more delighted to hand the ball to a local LA kid to start every game this season. And it is now every game this season as he has taken the first ball 10 out of 10 times. Finally a Lashing after 3 years of trying to sign him up. Another one with some good looking in swing here on Saideep Ganesh, and Saideep, after a lovely day yesterday, being challenged right from the start. 41 off 29 yesterday with 4 4s and 2 6s. Targeting bowlers of all kinds. You see Ayan with the in swing near the pad of Ganesh, got just enough bat on it to avoid departing LBW as early as Reuben Clinton did. Desai took the wicket of Arsh Butch on his 3rd ball yesterday, and he's got another one on the 3rd ball today, knocking over 2 of the 3 stumps, and Saideep Ganesh with a very brief cameo at the start of this one. Ayan Desai doing Ayan Desai things. Hit the middle and off. Took 2 of the 3 stumps out of the ground, and there is no more satisfying sight or sound in cricket if you enjoy good quality bowling than stumps cartwheeling and the clatter of the woodwork. 1 wicket down, no runs yet on the board, and it's going to be David White looking to partner now with Sanjay Krishnamurthy. So far this season, we haven't seen White have to build a partnership from the ground up with anybody other than his fellow opener. He has either been part of a massive opening partnership, or he has departed early and left, in most of those cases, Vikash Mohan to rebuild alongside Sanjay. East Bay have been very good, though, with those 2nd wicket partnerships. In fact, all 5 50 partnerships they've put on this season have been for either the 1st or 2nd wicket. First delivery to Sanjay Krishnamurthy, cramping him for style a little bit. Desai continues to dot up the East Bay Blazers up front. We were telling you about that opening partnership and what Saideep Ganesh and David White had done in the past. Let's talk a little bit about SoCal's power play bowling. It's spectacular. Their starts have been incredible. They've got the best power play economy in minor league cricket besides the New Jersey Stallions, as that one's worked to the right side. And they were looking pretty good yesterday as well. 4 overs in. Had Silicon Valley strikers at 19 for 1, got Butch early. Desai 1 wicket for 6 runs in his opening spell. Much like their batting innings, 4 good overs followed by, well, not exactly what you were aiming for. Desai taking aim at Sanjay. That's a wide, and it's going to cost him a wicket maiden up front here in the first over. East Bay underway here with their first run, and it comes by way of an extra. Sanjay Krishnamurthy, part of 2 big partnerships this season, both for the second wicket with Vikash Mohan, coming against San Diego and Golden State. David White's been part of 2 as well, both opening partnerships, one with Vikash and one yesterday with Saideep, getting into the 70s. Desai is going to finish his first over of work without conceding a run off the bat. A wide and a big wicket. Saideep Ganesh sent packing. White and Krishnamurthy looking to rebuild 1 for 1.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Sanchit Sandhu will be coming at the East Bay Blazers from the San Pedro end of the ground. Yesterday, a bit of a pricey outing by his standards. 20 runs conceded in 3 overs. Just a little over a run a ball, but that's pricey because he has lopped his economy this season in half compared to 2022. 8.8 last year, 4.2 coming into the weekend this year. That is 7th in minor league cricket among bowlers that have bowled at least 10 overs. Not a huge wicket taker in the power play this season. He's just got 2 of them, but he's bowled to a 3.5 economy inside power play bowling. Big outings against other NorCal teams. 2 for 16 against Silicon Valley back in Van Nuys. 1 for 11 against Golden State in 3 overs and got Anthony Bramble. A good bit of outswing, potentially aided by a reasonably strong wind down the pitch and from right to left. And you do see there on the screen number 27, Jake Shanpalaha, making what is, to my knowledge, his first appearance on the field for SoCal Lashings as today's sub-fielder in place of Harpreet Singh, who I don't think there could have been any doubt by the end of the day or the end of his innings that he was not going to be taking any further part in today's festivities besides getting very, very loud in the pavilion. Second ball to David White from Sandhu. A little more outswing, again poked to the offside, no run there. 8 balls in, East Bay still waiting for their first run off the bat. Sandhu this season has bowled exactly 2/3 of his balls inside the power play. 14 overs there, 7 overs in the middle. Yet to bowl a death over. White will work that one back behind into the back 45. That's going to run away from Ayan Desai at fine leg for the first boundary of this run chase. And David White is off the mark. White, the 32-year-old from Durban, South Africa, will take a look at his first boundary stroke here. Gets the bat out in front. Guides that one fine of Desai's position back there. Helps it along its way. A ball aimed at the body of the batter. Helped along to the boundary. This one has a little more of the swing that he's looking for, but it's just past the dive of the slip Mrinal Patel. Just a single there as there was deep protection at third man. White yesterday 49 off 42. Had 4 fours, 3 of them coming off the right arm medium pacer Abane Reddy. Sanjay meanwhile 12 off 13. Hutchinson up quickly with that, and that'll keep Sanjay rooted to his crease. There. Good lateral movement from the 41-year-old Jamaican. Deep protection for SoCal at third man and at backwards square against Sanjay Krishnamurthy. A big rip, and that one caught behind himself by Ravi Timbawala. That ball with a little bit of extra Sunoco on it. Thuds into the gloves. 5 runs from the Sanchit Sandhu over, courtesy mostly of David White's first boundary in this innings. 6 for the loss of 1 through 2.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Both sides lost an opener due to a clattering of timber on the third ball bowled. Both of them responded with 5 in the second over. We're only 10% of the way there, but so far everything's stacking up for a photo finish. A slip remains in place here for Ayan Desai against David White. It is the skipper Mrinal Patel just to the right of Ravi Timbawala. First delivery from the young Angelino. Wants the leg before call. It is not forthcoming from Ravi Shankar Barappa Gowda. May have been going down leg if I had to guess, because the kind of swing Ayan Desai gets, if you start that thing at off stump, it is not hitting woodwork. No indication from our umpire of the reason for it, but that's my best guess. Still a lot of motion in the air for Ayan, bowling very full. That one punched to mid-off. Well fielded there by Abhimanyu Rajap. Or correction, Jake Shanpalaha. Palaha, someone we're happy to finally get a look at here in minor league cricket. One of the more fascinating stories in this league this year. Another ball to the offside for no run. Palaha achieved some notoriety from an incident when he was selected as a net bowler just before an Australia-India series, and David Warner hit a comebacker at him that struck him in the head. A depressed skull fracture, some right side paralysis for a few days. There was honest shock that he lived through the incident from some of the surgeons, as White puts this one just behind square for a single and gets himself off strike here against Desai. And as you might understand, suffered with some mental health concerns, certainly a real flinch, very understandably, to any ball hit back in his general direction. I'm sure a lot of Major League Baseball pitchers can relate to it. but he's been outspoken. As that one is guided just wide of Mrinal Patel at slip. Chased down on another single here for Sanjay Krishnamurthy. Chased down by the under-19 for today, Yashashvi Gautam. But he's been very outspoken about the need to ask for help in that sort of situation. Said the pandemic was about the worst thing for somebody's mental health that was already suffering with what might look like the loss of his livelihood. He has since gotten the help he needs. He's been competing at Caribbean CC down in Southern California and was a wild card selection here for the SoCal Lashings. That one looking for the gap. David White gets just enough on it, and that'll run wide of Elmore Hutchinson at long on. So not the ending that Desai might have had in mind after a single and a leg by and 3 dots, but David White finally does connect with one from the young left-hander. Finds the gap in the outfield here inside the power play and adds to that total. East Bay Blazers now 12 for the loss of 1 through 3.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Sanchit Sandhu staying on from the San Pedro end. Krishnamurthy on strike, awaiting the first delivery of the 4th. Big swing and a miss. Sandhu managing to thread that needle between the tram line and the reach of the 20-year-old Wunderkind here for the East Bay Blazers. Sanjay generally a dependable bat for this team to get you somewhere in that 10 to 30 range most games. Tends to bolster his stats as he's getting dotted up here. Another ball with pronounced outswing from Sandhu that does somehow stay inside the tram lines. Another dot. But Sanjay's stat line bolstered in large part by a couple of big innings back at the beginning of the season. 23 off 17 coming against the San Diego Surf Riders on August 6th. And then the big 84 off 52. Has been a little bit out of form since then. The 84 coming against Golden State Grizzlies in Davis back on August 13th. Since the return from the 2-week break, 5-9-12. And still looking to get off the mark, 8 balls in. Here comes Sandhu. That one looked like it got some pad on the way through, but the umpire not interested in giving it. It'll be 4 leg byes. As Pankaj Chowdhury gives the indication. Definitely striking well outside the line. Even if there was a hint of LBW to that, it was outside the line, probably a little on the high side as well, as it struck up between the kneecap and the hip. Teammates out to exchange bats for Sanjay. Gives us a chance to remind you of next week's schedule. It'll be an afternoon start on Friday. Little weekday cricket for you here as we make up a rescheduled game between Golden State and East Bay. That one potentially very important to deciding how East Bay approaches the two they'll have later on Saturday and Sunday against Silicon Valley Strikers in that battle for number 1 in the division. That one again gets pad, this time going down leg. This, throughout the course of the season, is what SoCal Lashings have done. The power play bowling has been absolutely on point. It's been mostly these two, Ayan Desai, Sanchit Sandhu. Occasional deployment of an off spinner. Sometimes Elmore gets one, but for the most part, especially from this end, they've tended to use up Sandhu inside the opening 10 overs of a match. A little bit less outswing this time around. Still evades the bat of Sanjay. "11 balls without scoring, and you do wonder at this point. Going to find out a little bit about the maturity of this 20-year-old. Had a couple of rough outings in a row, likely happier with the 12 from 13 yesterday against San Diego, but under tremendous pressure. Final ball of this over. Looks for the release and does finally find the gap. Does not look like it's got quite enough on it. A great sliding play to keep that inside the rope by Abhimanyu Rajap. But they will pick up 3 for it. It's going to save just the 1. And so 7 off the over, 4 of those courtesy of a leg by. Sanjay Krishnamurthy on the 12th ball he faces, finally off the mark, and we'll get a look here at the defensive work from Abhimanyu. Goes into the slide. The big question here is, did he actually keep his body from going over before touching the ball? Ooh, keep an eye on that if this ends up being decided by a single run. No access to third umpire video review here in minor league cricket. May have gotten that one wrong. A purple balloon feels like it might be a sign, an omen. Rolls in the direction of Rubal Raina. Half expecting to see him jump up and smash it. Saw that yesterday in an Orioles-Red Sox game. A beach ball got onto the field, and Austin Hayes, left fielder for my hometown Baltimore Orioles, ran over into foul territory, jumped up, stamped on it with his cleats, and deflated the thing in a hurry. And it didn't make him very popular in Boston, and he seemed to enjoy that very, very much. Raina perhaps noticing that it appeared to be a roughly 6 or 7-year-old girl that was coming to go get her balloon, decided not to do such a thing. First change of bowling is going to come from the Barrett Avenue end, and it'll be Elmore Hutchinson. Like for like swap, continuing with left arm pace from that side against Sanjay. Krishnamurthy with his first 3 runs of the last delivery. Takes a rip at that one. Looks like height would have been an issue regardless in an LBW decision. Krishnamurthy connects purely with that one and immediately is working his way back towards a run of ball after 12 consecutive dots. That is an authoritative 6 and a pressure release valve for the East Bay Blazers. Elmore not quite getting the length right on this one. This is the side of the ground that, at least according to Ruben Clinton, has been the trickier spot to bat on in terms of the ball coming onto the bat. Bit of a chase necessary to get that one back as Sanjay put a charge into it. This Lashings attack in the power play, giving up an average of 28 runs per match. That one on a hop to Sanchit Sandhu in the covers. A correction, I believe Kirsten Kalicharan. Got a handful of guys without numbers on their backs, so makes it all the more important that I watch so much of the Western Division to actually know who's who. Year in, year out, one of the more exciting divisions in minor league cricket. That one worked off the hips and into the gap here. Long run for Reina, not going to get there. And Krishnamurthy, after suffering greatly at the hands of Sanchit Sandhu, is finding Elmore Hutchinson's left arm pace bowling a bit more to his liking. Team manager Himanshu over on the boundary rope to get that back in. Ten so far off of it. East Bay now over a run a ball and 29 for 1. That one hit a little awkwardly and Palaha not able to pick it up clean. It's a bit of a hesitation and then Sanjay took off looking for that single. One left off the over here for Hutchinson. He went for 12 yesterday and it was the beginning of SoCal losing their grip on that chase, although the real beginning of it was a couple of dropped chances, one at cover and one on a return catch in the third over when Desai was bowling. Rightfully, the feeling was if they had managed to hold either of those, and especially if they'd held both of them, might have managed to take that chase of just 104 a bit deeper. Today, they've got a lot more cushion to work with at 156. White reaches out and splits the gap on the offside, and that was a minuscule gap over there. It will be retrieved before it makes its way all the way across the boundary. 2 runs from that final ball, 13 off Hutchinson in his first over of work. East Bay building their way back into it, 32 for 1 after 5.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Big over for Sanjay Krishnamurthy as he works his way into this match. Had just 3 off the first 13 he faced, or rather 12, took Hutchinson for 11 off those 5. And now has East Bay in a much better position. Looks like seeing David White remove his helmet. A couple of trainers running out to work with him, maybe just a sweat and hydration thing. Just the general busyness of fielders running around, plus trainers running out and a batter leaving, had me wondering if there had been a lightning strike in the area or something. I was trying to work out why everyone seemed to be scattering. No, nothing to it, just a lot of busy people at the same time. We're gonna get our first look at the lefty spinner, Rubal Raina. Entering the attack here in the final over of the power play. Bit of a rare event for him. Rubal's only bowled 2 of his 14 overs with the fielding restrictions in place, but he's been tight when he's done it. Just 5 singles off of those 12 deliveries, 7 dot balls. First delivery. Swing and a miss as that one leaps up off the Morgan Hill pitch. This an interesting choice given the 2 men at the crease right now. Sanjay Krishnamurthy has had a lot of success this season against left-arm orthodox. He has also lost his wicket twice against it in 13 deliveries, so big question is, can you get him before he travels? So far 2 dots. Forced to bunt that one to the offside. Picked up there. Nice pickup by Palaha. Throw is down to the striker's end. So far, so good for Raina. White also has one of his higher strike rates against left arm spin at 124. A few changes being made here, indications waved from Ravi Timbawala behind the stumps. Moving the vice captain Abhimanyu Rajab to a very wide cover position. The other deep protection is at long on against White. Another dot ball here from Raina. That one blocked back to him as well. A good line on that. Not a lot David White could do with that. If they're going to hit the same spot every time, you either soak up pressure or you get your feet moving. This one a bit wider, and it's shot out to exactly where Abhimanyu Rajab was placed. But just 2 runs off that over, and so the power play concludes after an expensive one from Hutchinson with a very economical over from Raina. 34 for the loss of 1 after 6. Fielding restrictions coming off. 122 needed off the remaining 14. One of the stories of Lashings season so far this year has been an issue with restraining run rate in the middle and at the death. Both of their economies in those phases of the game are bottom of this division and bottom 5 in minor league cricket. This is the place where East Bay generally likes to speed up. Got the best average in the middle overs, that is runs per wicket, so they don't tend to hemorrhage wickets at this phase of the game. As Elmore Hutchinson gets the ball for the first over without the fielding restrictions. Blazers are 5th in minor league cricket in scoring rate at the death. So we had strength versus strength earlier. Now what SoCal is going to need is to resist the temptation to play into what's been a narrative all year, as this one's through a gap on the offside. White and Krishnamurthy off quickly, looking for 2. The throw is down to Ravi Timbawala's end. Not in time to take out David White. 15 runs apiece for the 2 batters. Saideep Ganesh was gone with a 3-ball duck, clean bowled by Ayan Desai, at least the 3rd time I can recall, just off the top of my head, that Desai has gotten a wicket on his 3rd delivery. Did it yesterday. Also did it on opening, or in the opening day for Silicon Valley when he dismissed Lahiru Milanta. That one worked behind square. Rubo Raina patrolling. It'll just be a single. Hutchinson's first over, 1 to forget, looking for a good comeback here as he gave up a 6 and a 4 to Sanjay Krishnamurthy. If you're just joining us, 156, the target set for East Bay. A win punches their ticket to the playoffs. Krishnamurthy, airborne, no protection in that area of the field. So it's going to be a foot race, 2 runs taken. They will get the ball back in to prevent a 3rd. By and large, the deep protection now with the fielding restrictions off has been mostly in front of Sanjay Krishnamurthy, not somebody who looks for those delicate strokes behind or tries to help a ball on its way to fine leg very regularly. He's usually stand and deliver. He's going to let that one fly by. It's a wide, and it's also gotten through Timbawala. Yashashwi Gautam good on the chase, but that's going to be a pair of runs. Extras number 7 and 8. Although for the most part, those extras have been leg buys. 4 of them from one of the early deliveries to Krishnamurthy. Third wide, or second and third wide. White trying to cut that one through a gap. Can't find it. Mrinal Patel down to his right and grabs it. One more delivery still left after the extra needs to be rebowled. Elmore looking for a solid finish to a comeback over after giving up 13 in this first. White guides that one to the offside. Bit of a mishandle out there. Clinton turns, fires, and had a decent chance at nailing David White. That looked like a Vladimir Guerrero, Ichiro Suzuki kind of throw from there. Clinton mishandled it in the deep, came up with it, and fired a BB to the gloves of Ravi Timbawala. Goodness gracious. It's one of those ones like Roberto Clemente in the World Series where even if it doesn't come off and you get him, it lets you know what you're dealing with and may influence decisions later in the game. It looks like White was still home either way. But my word, that was closer than it looked like it had any right to be. 9 from the 7th, 43 for the loss of 1. Middle overs off to a humming start here for East Bay Blazers as they pick up 9 off Hutchinson. Some good industry between the wickets. A couple of wides helping out there as well. Raina will stay on from the San Pedro end, and Sanjay Krishnamurthy pops this one back behind him to fine leg. Long run for Yashashwi Gautam. And they'll pick up 2 off that delivery. Looking to eat into a required rate. Sitting a little bit north of 8.5s right now. We saw in the early game today, Silicon Valley allowed the run rate required to balloon up towards 11 before the big partnership between Archibald and Ravinderpal Singh took them home with 3 balls to spare. Paddle sweep on the ground here from Sanjay Krishnamurthy. That is going to make it all the way to the Sunoco ad directly behind him. Slightest of touches on that from the best we could tell, and it is a 4. Looks like perhaps a little more drift on this one, and Sanjay Krishnamurthy, just a sweet cover drive. Jaikishan Palaha putting in the chase. That one absolutely zipping across the carpet. Back-to-back 4s for Sanjay, and East Bay starting to make some hay here. Raina working quickly as soon as he gets the ball back. Krishnamurthy has that one knocked down. Good fielding at point from Elmore Hutchinson. Might not be the fastest man on the ground, but Elmore still with the quick reflexes. That one tapped onto his own pads by Krishnamurthy. 27 off 26 is the sort of thing that looks kind of pedestrian, just, you know, running along. We've gotten a good total on the board, but not at any sort of reasonable rate. This one's popped straight up in the air. Drifting under it is Ravi Timbawala, and he will squeeze. And Sanjay Krishnamurthy going for a run a ball 27, just as he had begun to apply some serious pressure to the SoCal Lashings attack. That is a big one to take at this moment here with 12 overs left. The prototypical boom, boom, gone, admittedly with a couple of dots in between, but you can get a little bit overexcited when the ball is suddenly coming onto the willow nicely, and this time around tries the helicopter shot, comes off his gloves straight up in the air. I was about to say, worth remembering when you see 27 off 27, that really what that is 11 straight dot balls followed by 27 off 16. Krishnamurthy really starting to push the pace down there towards the end of his innings. It may not have gotten gloves. That might have actually been off the outstretched, twirling bat. But a lovely take by Ravi Timbawala behind the stumps. And that'll be all for him. Aditya Ganesh will see his first action of this weekend. Ganesh, a 31-year-old from Chennai, MILC debutant this season, most recently played for the Dindigul Dragons in the Tamil Nadu Premier League. He's going to be looking for something like one of his later innings in that tournament a few months ago. He had a 59 not out as part of a century partnership to chase down 174 versus Tirupur. So far on the minor league cricket season, 121 the strike rate, but an average of 32.5. Quite the debut season he's had so far, and his last 3 innings have gone 23, 51, 37. And for those wondering, I did check in with Prem Kumar Suri, one of the higher-ups with the Silicon Valley Strikers, East Bay Blazers, Golden State Grizzlies organizations. No relation between Saideep and Aditya Ganesh. Ayan Desai back into the attack here in the middle overs as SoCal looked to pounce. Certainly given recent luck against left-arm pace. Good decision against David White. Aditya Ganesh, meanwhile, 20 off 13 against left-arm pace so far this season. And only 2 dot balls. You're going to see here, White is somebody who tends to run a lot more between the wickets once the middle overs get started. Ganesh just wired that way from the very start. Here comes a second offering from Desai after the reshuffling of the field for the lefty, and he'll push that one back behind point for a single. And that's what you can expect from him. Somebody who plays the ball very late. Kind of in the Unmukt Chand mold, but from the left side. Kind of reminds me almost of what I love about watching Kane Williamson in test match batting. Tends to let that ball get under his eyes. He's got a variety of ways to guide it behind him. Scoops, pushes, open face. Sort of cut shots. As White bunts that one back. A dot ball here for Ayan. We did mention, by the way, Sanjay Krishnamurthy, high risk, high reward against lefty spin. And we saw it absolutely on display. Knocked Rubal Raina around a good bit, then lost his wicket. Good chase down there by the skipper, Murnal. Keeps that open face cut to just a single run here off the bat of David White. Yeah, the stat that got my attention about Aditya Ganesh that I tend to take a look at is his non-boundary strike rate. So basically, subtract out all the 4s and 6s. How many runs do you score per ball when you're not getting it all the way to the rope? And the answer for him is he's got a strike rate of 100 in the middle overs, 94.9 overall on balls that don't make it to the boundary. And you've already seen a little bit of it here. 2 off 2. That's somebody who will play that ball late and then is off like a shot. Might be an ideal partner for David White here as East Bay look to build a match-winning partnership. White inside outs that one straight back over the bowler's head. And that has made it all the way on the fly for 6. White can be busy between the wickets too, but he particularly enjoys taking aim like that. Came into the weekend with 5 6s. Didn't need any to reach 49 yesterday, but he's got one now. And that pushes East Bay that much closer here. 9 overs gone in this run chase. 63 for the loss of 2.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
It'll be our first look at off spin as we start the 10th over. East Bay going at exactly 7 runs per. They need about 8.5 from here to the finish to take home win number 6 as Aditya Ganesh will push that one into the vacant mid-wicket area. Pick up a first ball single here to start the 10th. Abhimanyu Rajap into the attack for SoCal Lashings. So far on the season, 4 wickets at 33.3 runs per. But it's been a little while since he's taken one. Those 4 all came in the opener against San Diego Surf Riders when he came in after giving up 20 runs in his first 2 overs of work, entered for a pair at the death, and took 4 wickets for 6. That combined with a massive showing with bat in hand ended up being the difference in that match and is the reason why SoCal Lashings are 4 and 5 right now and not 3 and 6. And in the same boat that San Diego Surf Riders have found themselves in. That one is aerial, but it's directly between Elmore Hutchinson and Mrinal Patel. It'll be a single, but for the briefest of moments, looked like it might be wicket number 3 and the end of David White. Danger right away, coming out of the right hand of Abhimanyu Rajap. A little bit of flight, that definitely got pad. Did it get bat first? Chance to run him out at the other end. And the finger does not go up. Late getting back. Ravi Timbawala has made something of a mess over there. Oh, and they did in fact give the leg before. There was so much activity there. I'm sorry. Thanks for Vishal Tiku. I was trying to understand what exactly we were seeing. Pankaj Chowdhury took his sweet time, best I can tell, giving the leg before signal. Although it does look good, back foot. Rajap wanted it. No indication it was coming there. And by this point, my focus is entirely at the other end. There is the finger up as they attempt the run out, which they may well have had also. It's inconsequential, but if we do have the replay, I'm kind of interested to see if they got him run out over at the other end too. But Aditya Ganesh, we know, very busy there. The long, long thought from Pankaj Chowdhury finally does give him out leg before, and Aditya Ganesh's day is over. Oh, without doubt, had him gone twice. So one way or another, Aditya Ganesh ends his day given out leg before wicket on just 3 runs from the 4 that he faced. And Abhimanyu Rajap looking to bookend his season with some big bowling performances. Started the year taking those 4 death overs wickets against San Diego Surf Riders to lock down win number 1. He's claimed a big one here as Krishnamurthy and Ganesh have gone down in rapid succession. It's David White at the other end, increasingly looking like the danger man. We are going to see the skipper Angelo Pereira out at 5. Looking a little further down the order, you've got Vikash Mohan, who spent most of last year as a finisher before sliding into the opener role while Sadeep Ganesh was out hurt. You've got Hamza Tariq, who hasn't been lighting the world on fire all season, but is striking nicely off pace and did have 21 not out off 10 yesterday. Also hit a massive 6 that won East Bay their second game against Seattle on the final ball. So a few dangerous batters still left for Angelo Pereira to call on, but for now he calls on himself. First delivery ran off the face of the bat to third man for a single. East Bay continue to rotate strike well here ever since that string of deliveries from Sanchit Sandhu that had Sanjay rooted to his crease. They've by and large managed to avoid long stretches of dots. This one guided to mid-off by David White. Simple shot, looking to just build up the partnership with Angelo Pereira. Give him a good look at the off spinner here. 1 ball left in the over. Pereira 12 off 12 yesterday. Bit of width here, he comes out of his crease. Aditya Ganesh, Ravi Timbawala whipping off the bails, but nothing given there. And it will be a dot to finish. So Abhimanyu Rajap, just with the doctor ordered, just 4 runs off of it, takes the wicket LBW of Aditya Ganesh and flirted right here as you see Angelo Pereira keeping the foot down back behind that popping crease line. Just does avoid becoming the 3rd victim in quick succession here. 67 for 3 at the halfway point.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
After a bit of time away, Sanchit Sandhu back into the attack here from the right side. Change of ends for him. He'll be bowling from the Barrett Avenue end, after his first 2 inside the power play came from the San Pedro end of the ground. First delivery dispatched by David White. Hardly anyone moving. That is a quick 4. Pressure release that East Bay desperately needed at this point. They need 89 off the last 10 overs. To give you a sense of what that could look like, Silicon Valley earlier today needed 90 off the last 10 overs. Got there with 3 balls to spare. White into the 30s. Big swing and a miss. Bit of extra zip on that one from Sanchit Sandhu. White throws the shot a little bit on the late side. Looking at what's left for Rinal Patel to call on in terms of bowlers, this is Sandhu's 3rd. They'll have 1 more of both him and Desai. They've got 2 more of Hutchinson, but he has been expensive. two more of Rubal Reina. Ball tapped to the offside just behind point for a single. They do also have two other spin options. If they like the way the lefty spin of Reina is playing, they might consider bowling the skipper himself. If they like the way that Rajap's off spin is playing, they've got Ruben Clinton who can roll his own arm over as well. Lot of options here as we work our way into the final 10 overs of a long weekend here. That one run off the face of the bat by Pereira, and it's going to get by the man at third. Doesn't have enough Sunoco to reach the boundary. Yashashwi Gautam comes up with it and guns it in. It'll just be a pair of runs. Cultured cut from Angelo Pereira. Opened his account earlier, now adds another pair to it. That one ends up behind, and it is given as a leg side wide. Thought that might have clipped a little bit of the hip pad, in which case it would have been A-OK. No such luck. Sandhu gave up 20 in 3 overs yesterday, 16 so far off 16 deliveries. Pereira right through the wickets of David White. Another single here. Good full delivery from Sandhu, certainly causing challenges to navigate for Angelo Pereira, but he is an experienced campaigner. 33-year-old, 6 ODIs and 6 T20Is for Sri Lanka between 2013 and 19 for him. Another busy runner between the wickets. White takes a big hoik at that one, but gets next to none of it. Luckily for him, he got at least a little bit, because if it had thumped into the pads, he was probably dead to rights. 9 runs off of it, the 4 to start. A few off the bat and a wide against Sandhu, 17 off of his 3 so far. 9 overs to go, 80 remaining for East Bay to knock off to claim win number 6.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
The wind absolutely intensifying here at Morgan Hill Outdoor Sports Complex. A little bit of confusion apparently in the stats tent as the graphic shows Ruben Clinton as the next bowler, but it will instead be Rubal Reina returning from the San Pedro end with his left arm spin. Pereira trying to use his feet, and a good adjustment there from Reina. Could see Pereira make his initial move and then have to immediately think better of it. A dot off the first. Now he advances, and this time he'll slap it to the man at long off. Jake Shinpalaha quickly in. Knows the industry of the 2 men on either side of the pitch. Needs to make sure they don't take freebies. Required run rate touching 9s at this point. East Bay with plenty of batting in the shed, though. White will run this into the offside for a single. If SoCal can protect this, they are going to be very, very invested viewers of our streams next week. Friday from Morgan Hill, Saturday TBD. as well as Sunday. Pereira moving outwards, and Rubal Reina follows him. Another dot ball against the skipper. Advances down the track, lifts this one into the air. Could be a chance. Mrinal Patel may have it tracked. Mrinal cannot hold it. Just about had him there. And the SoCal Lashings, oh so close to dismissing Angelo Pereira. He's been given up the plan a little early here against Reina, who has done well to adjust to it. Pulls his length back just a little bit. Pereira pops it up. It was always going to be a challenging play out there at backward point. Patel made the ground, got under it, but just could not hold on. Next delivery, meanwhile, a chance at a run out at the wicketkeeper's end, waiting for the signal, and it again is not forthcoming. Pereira having a little bit of fun with Elmore Hutchinson, his fellow international representative, but this ball from Reina is going to go as another 2. Got some good purchase and forced Pereira to play that well squarer than he might have preferred. They took the first, and then on the throw down to the wicketkeeper's end, Pereira, realizing right about here he is in some real trouble. Timbawala had to come out to claim it. And just good work there by Pereira to get his bat grounded. That is absolutely textbook. This time around, the decision apparently the right one. 12 overs gone, 82 for 3, 74 needed. And we'll go ahead and keep the stream right here for the time being. We mentioned it before here. Almost no one has had success here at Morgan Hill besides the Northern California teams. Both SoCal and San Diego entered the day at 0-8. 0-7 rather, all time. San Diego is now 0-8 after narrowly falling in the opening match. So SoCal, after knocking off Silicon Valley down in Van Nuys to open the season, looking to do something no Southern California team has done. That is not going to help. First delivery off of Elmore Hutchinson, pummeled by David White. That's a mid-wicket 6. And that's what East Bay need at this point, is to start lopping off bits of this total in large bites. Keep that number manageable so that you don't succumb to pressure. East Bay, for their part, 11-4 all-time on this ground. 1-1 against the Golden State Grizzlies, 1-3 against the Silicon Valley Strikers. 9-0 against everybody else. 2 wins against Seattle, 3 each against SoCal and Hollywood, 1 against San Diego. 2 against SoCal, 2 now against San Diego. I marked the new win in the wrong column. .47 balls left in this, 68 runs left to get. For as good as SoCal have been today, you'd probably have to put your money on East Bay based on recent history. David White pushes that one to long off, thinking about a second. Throw is in quickly. Not particularly accurate, but it was the threat of it that was necessary there from Sanchez Sandu, out at the boundary. Rotation of the strike. Back to the skipper, Pereira. Angelo dropped last over on 7. An opportunity there to pick up a second wicket in what was a masterful over from Rubal Reina. Comes forward, taps this one right back to Hutchinson. Pereira extremely busy in his crease. Taking a walk just about every ball, and against Reina, you almost got the sense that it was like watching a penalty shootout in soccer, where the goalkeeper flinches just a little too soon. The only difference is in soccer when that happens, the penalty kicker takes it the other direction. Here, Reina just kept throwing it right into Pereira's body. Yorker is guided just wide of the attempt in the inner circle to keep it to just a single, and it's going to split the fielders in the deep as well. It's a 4 for Angie Pereira. And a bit of a pressure release over here for the East Bay Blazers. Required run rate was up over 9. They pulled it back down to 5 as Pereira played this one late. Valiant attempt on the inner circle, but a big gap in the outfield between Clinton and Sandu, the men at sweeper cover, and at a rather narrow long off. Hamza Tarek and Vikash Mohan still available in the pavilion. But wickets are going to have to be the order of the day as Pereira went for that one. Timbawala popped up, I thought maybe for a bit of an appeal. A dot here as Hutchinson tries to close the over strong. 2 boundary shots already from it. When you're chasing a total where you need to rack up 9s, knocking 6 of those off at the very first delivery of an over certainly allows you to relax into your batting for the remainder of it. You don't have to worry about doing too much damage. Pick it up on length, do what needs to be done. If it's there to be hit, do it. Otherwise, live to fight another over. Final ball, the 13th from Hutchie. Pace off, and Hutchinson will deposit that one to third man. Just a single there as Yashashwi Gautam was stationed in that deep position. And so it'll be 12 off it against Hutchinson. He's been a little pricey today. David White approaching a 50. Angelo Pereira getting his eye in. 7 overs left, 62 still needed, 94 for 3. Rubal Reina getting started here with the 14th over, and his first delivery is guided into the air, and a diving attempt at the boundary rope will go wanting. Just past the fingertips a handful of times here. That time Kirsten Kalicharan in pursuit. As Pereira again making use of his feet to make some room. And Kalicharan not able to get it. Next delivery is very finely struck to third man. It's going to be a chase with Elmore Hutchinson. He'll get there before it's over the boundary. It'll be just a pair. Again, though, like the last over, as the 100 comes up for East Bay Blazers, it's been about knocking off a chunk of those runs necessary on the first couple of balls. They had a 6 on the first delivery against Hutchinson, now 4 and 2 off the first 2. Needing 8s or 9s from here to the finish to get it done. That one a swing and a miss. .56 left to get. 39 balls left to be bowled. Here comes Rubal Reina again chasing Pereira as he tries to open up space. This time does work it to Ayan Desai at long on for a single. 7 so far. This will be Reina's final 2 deliveries. And in a match when you've set a total that is basically 8s, you can deal with just barely over a run a ball along with an important wicket, that of Sanjay Krishnamurthy. This one pops up in the air as White goes down for the slog sweep. Unlike the Krishnamurthy one, this one popped up in front of the batter. No real chance for Timbawala. Just a bit of excitement for somebody with very little depth perception from this distance. balk. Now that's allowed in cricket. Nothing wrong with that. Here comes Raina, final delivery of his spell, and he's kept that in on the body of David White. That'll definitely be one. They're thinking about a second as the field had to converge on that area, but they will stick with just the single off the final delivery of the 14th. Rubal Raina, 1 for 26 as his spell comes to a close here. East Bay Blazers 102 for 3. Need exactly 9s from here to the finish.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
David White at 42 not out off 33, starting to find his groove after a rough stretch following his 68 in the opening match of the season. He's been partnered at a couple of different points here by Sanjay Krishnamurthy, who added a run of ball 27 after being anchored to the crease for the first 11 deliveries. Angelo Pereira has been hitting the occasional boundary here and there. 2 4s to go along with a lot of running between the wickets. First delivery from Ayan Desai in his final over in the air. This chance is held, and that is the end of the line for David White. Ayan Desai, the Grim Reaper. We're not quite at the death overs yet, but he's got a second wicket today. And in this one, you'd almost say David White slightly yorked himself. A full delivery that might have been a decent half volley. Strode forward for it. And the catch is held. It's been a bugaboo already today and certainly yesterday, the inability to hold those chances. Mrinal Patel told his team before the game, nothing's more important. We're only going to get a few of these. If you get the chance to wrap your hands around one, do not let go. Take a look here at the worm. Stand at this point in the innings. Ooh, boy, that's about how it's felt. That is a very tight one, angling slightly downward. SoCal had a decent finish to their innings as they put up 10, 11, 6, 9, and 10 off the 5 death overs. A look at the Manhattan, which yesterday looked a little more like a Scranton for SoCal Lashings. A lot of very short buildings. But at least going into this over, East Bay were just barely ahead of where the Lashings had been. At the end of 14 overs, Lashings were 100 for 4. East Bay 102 for 3, but now make that 102 for 4 one ball later. And by the by, that does mean now that LA Lashings are ahead of them at least in that worm, because the first ball of the 15th for the Lashings was a 6. So they were 106 for 4 at 14.1, 4 runs ahead of where East Bay find themselves now. So Blazers are going to need a finish like the one that the Lashings had, the 9, 10, 11, 6, 9, 10 off the last few overs, plus another 4. And they're going to have to do it with a new batter in. Vikash Mohan off to a promising start, though. Opens the face of the bat, guides it to third man, and that's a 4 right out of the gate. If you are playing that what was the score right now game, score's level, 106 for 4 as well for the Lashings at this point in the innings. Delicately done. Vikash Mohan into the match. This is a guy who last season was one of the premier closers in the league, a 170 strike rate at the death. Yesterday came in at 7, today in at 6, at 11 off 8. That one tapped back, and Ayan Desai fielding off his own bowling. A diving snag to keep Vikash right where he is. for a single. Vikash Mohan with 5 off his first 3. Vikash actually has an interesting thing in common with one of the players out here in purple. He and Kirsten Kalacharan both suited up for combined campuses in West Indies domestic List A cricket. Vikash, a native of Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. That one guided just wide of the leaping Ayan Desai for another single. And there's a misfield there. It gets by Jake Shanpalaha, and it's going to be a free run. Sanchit Sandhu, cool as a cucumber there, perhaps applying the role of peacemaker out of a little frustration there with the misfield. Heard a bit of a shout from one of the Lashings fielders, and Sandhu says, hey, we're in this together, and we're still in it with a shout. Angelo Pereira guiding this one to the offside. That pops up on the fielder over there, Gautam, but Mrunal Patel ready to grab it. So it ends up being 8 off the over, almost what's required at this point, but as we hit the death overs now, 4 wickets down. The big wicket of David White claimed on the first delivery from Desai, and it's 110 for 4 with 5 overs left.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Mrunal Patel into the attack. His left arm leg spin to be directed at Angelo Pereira and at Vikash Mohan. There's a big rip on the first delivery from Angelo. Timbawala whips the bails off. Didn't get him to come quite far enough forward though. 46 now needed off 29 remaining deliveries. Bit of extra flight given on this one. That'll be run down to long off for a single. Mrunal Patel took a little bit of tap yesterday when he came into the attack. Lashings held him out for a long time due to the presence of Shahan Jayasuriya and Lahiru Milantha, and Lahiru showed you why. After giving up just 2 off the first 3 deliveries, took him deep for 6, 6, and another 6. That one worked here, and a call immediately for 2. They will get it, as they found an empty spot in the fielding placement here for Mrunal Patel, the skipper, in his first over, 3 so far off the first 3. That'll bring Vikash on strike. Going at a 104 strike rate so far against lefty spin. Gets just a feathered edge to that, and it's going to be a chase for for Elmore Hutchinson to keep that one in the field of play. He does so. Another 2 off of it. The worm after that 15th over came to a close. Would have shown you East Bay up by exactly 1 run. Same number of wickets lost. This game as close as you'd expect given the stakes. Work to the offside, a bit of room there as Mrunal and Plaha converge. A single off that. Six runs so far off this first death over. Trying to move his feet there is Angelo Pereira, and Mrunal Patel judged that brilliantly. Manages to prevent Pereira from doing much of anything. We've seen it a couple of times. He's given up the plan a little bit on the early side. and as a result, is wound up cramped and stuck in his own crease, trying to avoid being 40 now needed off the final 4 overs, and we'll take a look one more time at the standings, remind ourselves what the stakes are right now with 24 balls left in this encounter. For SoCal Lashings, nothing short of the fate of their season right now on the line. If they can get to 5-5, there's a reasonable path for them to end up playoff bound this time next week. They go to 4-6, it is pretty much all done. That Seattle Golden State pair of games next Saturday and Sunday would basically be for the 3rd playoff spot to see which one of them ends up hopping over the Lashings. As for East Bay, they're trying to keep pace, get back to the top of the table alongside Silicon Valley Strikers, and make sure they've got the upper hand going into the 2 matches they'll have next Saturday and Sunday against their Bay Area rivals. They do have one against Golden State Grizzlies prior to that. Rubal Reina now, you saw in the shot just a moment ago, relegated to fielding off everyone else's bowling. He's made his contribution. Elmore Hutchinson last over Hill Bowl today as this one is cut towards point. Ruben Clinton quickly onto it for a single. The run rate for the first time, run rate required rather, eclipsing double digits. 39 needed off of the 23 remaining deliveries. We mentioned that East Bay was a run ahead of the Worm at the end of the 15th, 3 runs behind the Worm as they start the 17th. Angelo Pereira, liftoff. Settles onto his back foot and absolutely cranks an Elmore Hutchinson delivery over long on. And if they are looking to keep pace, this was the 11-run over for SoCal Lashings. They're going to need a little bit more of that. 7 so far off this one. Hutchinson has had his struggles today, keeping the ball in the park. Gave up 13 in his over in the power play, 9 in the 7th, 12 in the 13th, 7 so far off this one. Looking for the comeback here. Pace off, full toss. Searching for the gap, but Kalicharan is up with it. Looking for a second, throw is down to Hutchinson's end, is not in time. And they will take the 2. At this point, most of the necessary work for this over done for East Bay. They needed 10s from this point forward. They've got 9 off the first 3. Everything else potentially gravy. Three left in Hutchinson's spell. Opens the face, nicely fielded inside the circle. They will take the quick single. Pereira moves to 34. Just 8 runs behind David White for the leading scorer for the East Bay Blazers. Of course, the first innings defined by today's leading scorer, the 51. Mostly done on one good leg by Harpreet Singh. Elmore Hutchinson and the rest of the bowlers trying to make it stand up as a match-winning innings. Targeting the stumps, and a chance to throw him out at the non-striker's end, and Hutchinson takes full advantage. Angelo Pereira gone due to a little bit of over-aggression between the stumps. A brilliant ball to Vikash Mohan, and Elmore keeping his wits about him as he turned and saw Pereira about a third of the way to the other side of the pitch. Let's get another look at this. Hutchinson had kept it wide to that point, gets it right back to him and just needs to hit 3 stumps to throw at. And you'd think a guy that, well, he makes his money by being accurate with that arm. Hits the bottom of middle stump. And that is all for the well-set captain. And just like that, what was a dream over 2 balls ago, pulled back in the direction of SoCal Lashings. Does look as though we've got Hamza Tarek out next for the Lashings. Don't be fooled by the name on the back. We do have the occasional trades of shirts. Very expensive and time-consuming. Another look there at the worm. And those two, they've been snuggling right from the start, but even closer ever since about the 12th over. This one feeling very 50-50, especially with the last two recognized batters at the crease. Mohan gives himself some space and guides this one towards fine leg. It is going to hold up in the grass. Rubal Rana will be able to get to it. It's just going to be a pair. What looked like maybe a 4 to close it out. Doesn't quite come off. We've been looking at that over-by-over score the whole time. For those wondering now, East Bay 2 runs and a wicket behind the pace set by the Lashings, who scored 25 in their final 3 overs of play in the first innings. 128 for 5. It's going to take 28 from the final 3 for East Bay to take this one home. Ronald Patel continues and takes over number 18 from the San Pedro end. First delivery bunted along the ground to Abi Rajab for a single. Ronald gave up just 6 in his first over. Looking to continue to keep it tight and drive that RRR upwards. Reverse sweep by Mohan. That is going to run towards the boundary. Hutchinson, full commitment to keep that in play. It's going to be 3 for Vikash after Hamza Tarek had gotten a single on the first ball to get himself underway. Bit of invention there, and this time around, no doubt about the boundary save from Elmore Hutchinson. That is a swing and a bit of a miss. They are going to look to take the run at the either as a bye or a leg bye. Looks like that will go down as a leg bye. Mohan had it impact his body after the shot did not come off. Leg side full toss, and what a play by Yashashvi Gautam to hold that to a single. Diving save on the infield, and that is massive. If Vikash lets that go, it's for sure a wide. May have even had no ball written on it potentially. Looks like it did come down far enough. That one pounded into the ground. Palaha charges, keeps it on the infield. Another single. Patel has given up 12 off 11. Required run rate has popped up now into the vicinity of 10 again. But this might do some help, or it might be the very, very end for Vikash Mohan. Off the bat, looked like it was headed to the boundary for 6. Would have chopped a good chunk of the remaining total off, but it's Ayan Desai at the boundary, having to deal with a swirling wind here in Morgan Hill, holding on for dear life to a big chance with 12 balls left in this match. Runal Patel, 1 for 13 in his spell. This one straight over his head. Desai reaches out and keeps it. Definitely a wind-assisted catch here, or at least a wind-assisted not 6. By the way, speaking of good hands, I don't know if we have film of that, but a moment of levity as we go here. Rubal Rana trying to toss a water bottle back to one of his teammates from the pavilion, getting them some hydration And that got caught in the wind, and that teammate reached back with his right hand all the way behind him and snared it anyway. So everything's sticking right now for the SoCal Lashings. There are 12 balls left, 21 runs required. Last two recognized batters at the crease right now for the Blazers. Hamza Tariq and CP Rizwan. All that's left after that are Tharon, LaRue, and Harikrishnan Nair. If you're Angelo Pereira, you would say it's got to be these two. A little bit of a pause here as they get ready to deploy the final over of Sanchit Sandhu. The first time all season he's bowled at the death. Tariq using his feet to make a little bit of room, and that is going to be guided backwards of point, or excuse me, square leg rather. A solid 4 to get things started, and just like that now 17 needed off 11. Tariq 21 not out off 10 yesterday, 17 not out off 7 in the Blazers' last game against Seattle. A game in which he hit a 6 on the final ball with them needing 5 to win. Again makes some room for himself, again deposits this, and this one is a 6. Two big shots to start the penultimate over. Sanchit Sandhu's sparkling economy taking a bit of damage today as he's bowled in an unfamiliar situation this season. You'd almost be tempted, if you're him right now, to try and wrap one around Hamza Tariq. He is showing his stumps behind him right now. The only issue is the way the wind's blowing from right to left, it's going to be a little hard for him to get any of his trademark outswing. What does he have in mind? 11 needed off 10. Pace off. And a ball knocked to Abhimanyu Rajap for a single. We heard from Ruben Clinton before that pace off might be the way to go at this end of the wicket. The ball just not coming onto the bat quite the same way. Our first match today was 8 required off the final over. 10 off 9 right now. Rizwan runs that off the edge. It'll be a single. Thought about trying to come back, but I think Hamza Tariq, A, doesn't want to take the risk. B, wants the strike. 9 off 8. Nerve-jangling stuff here. A game that could punch East Bay's playoff ticket at the same time as it extinguishes SoCal's hopes. If they can get 9 more. Big rip. That ball doesn't get a lot of contact from the willow. It's going to be another single, make it 8 off 7. Sandhu, a couple of good-looking balls as a comeback from the 2 boundary shots laced by Hamza Tariq behind square. CP Rizwan 1 off the 1 he's faced. Big swing and a miss. Tariq thought about trying to retake the strike. And if Hamza wants the strike to start the final over, or excuse me, my mistake. I thought there was an extra ball still left. That is the final delivery of the 19th. And looky there, same as yesterday, or not yesterday, same as this morning, 8 needed off the final 6. We've gotten back to the exact same spot as the morning game. We told you before, Southern California teams have yet to win on this ground. San Diego and SoCal together are 0-15 all time. Is the 16th time the charm? The men in purple and gold are depending on it. If they're going to get through and keep their playoff hopes alive until next weekend. They need another economical over, and it's going to be the skipper putting his hand up to bowl the final over here. 6 wickets down, 8 needed off the final 6. Hamza Tariq is on strike to start. Runal has been fantastic so far. 1 for 12. Tariq sweeps this on the ground. Good work there. Just behind square, the man at fine leg. Able to cut that off, keep it just to a single run. 7 now needed off 5. Bright orange helmet makes sure that we have no doubt which batter is CP Rizwan. On debut yesterday, 4 off 6. Hamza 21 not out off 10 yesterday. 14 already. Rather 15 off 8 so far today. Here comes Runal, second delivery of the 20th. Rizwan steps up, puts this one into a vacant area. Big opportunity to pick up a pair of runs. Reuben Clinton can barely stop his momentum after picking that up, but it is 2. 5 now needed off 4. Rizwan remains on strike. That one is straight up. That is a chance. Jake Shanpalaha settling under it, and he takes it. Wicket number 7 is down. Maybe even more importantly, another dot ball. And the fact that one of those 3 bowlers, Theron, LaRue, or Nair, is going to face this next delivery. A massive blow here for East Bay Blazers. Rizwan trying to do it all himself. But he falls victim here. Runal Patel, let's take a look at this delivery. Great length, a little bit of purchase to get that off the top edge. And the sub fielder, the man who today completes Harpreet Singh, reaching back behind to squeeze an immensely valuable wicket. And here's where the new rule this season, wasn't the case last year here in MILC, really does make a big deal. Or make a big difference, rather. Hamza Tariq, under last year's rules, would have faced the next delivery because he would have crossed over with his teammate on the other side. That no longer matters. When the batter is out, the man who replaces him goes to the same spot he was for that delivery before. So now with 5 needed off 3, it will be Rusty Theron having to face this. Now, not that I'm trying to conjure anything, but Theron this season did hit his first 6 ever against Seattle in a 10-run loss. Right now, you imagine he would just be happy to get off strike and give Tariq a chance to repeat his heroics in the second game against Seattle, which East Bay actually won. First thing he's got to do is either make contact. It's going to be hard to scamper a bye, too. Scoots that to that same spot where they ran 2 before. Will they try again? Oh my goodness, Tariq is way down the line, and what a leaping play to try to avoid the 2. Might have Theron run out at the other end. No! And now they might try for 3. The throw is down to Runal Patel, and it hits the batter. Merciful heck, what on earth? Looking an awful lot like the shambolic ending to the matchup in Davis. The end result is 2 runs, and Rusty Theron remains on strike. They had the first, they went for the second, had a decent shot, potentially at throwing out the man coming back for the second because of the hesitation there of Tariq. In fact, no, they didn't come back for the second initially. Then they do go back here, overthrow. Theron says, no, for heaven's sake, go back. We're back live right now. It's run back to that same position. They've taken one. Throw to the wicketkeeper's end. Direct hit. Is it in time? We have not seen a signal. If that is the case, scores are level. As we'll take a look at this one again after the craziness, Theron worked that to that same vacant position. The throw from Hutchinson came in. No, it wasn't a direct hit. And in fact, Timbawala knocked the bails off with his glove. This has to be a dot or a wicket to keep the scores level at 155. It's been nip and tuck the whole way. Patel, a little bit of a false start, maybe trying to see if Theron will give away his plan. Fielders all around the circle. Rusty lets loose, and he is going to win this game for the East Bay Blazers. A match-winning 4 with the scores level, and it's a 3-wicket victory for the Blazers. A day of utterly intense action on the Morgan Hill field. And at the end of the day, both SoCal teams are going to leave empty-handed. Both Bay Area teams are headed to the playoffs. Next weekend, we are going to find out who joins them. It will be either Golden State Grizzlies or Seattle Thunderbolts. Grizzlies are going to have a game on Friday to try to get level with Seattle in the standings. Or rather, to try to pass them in the standings and get the advantage going in. And then the two of them will face off Saturday and Sunday to decide the third team in the postseason from the Western Division. Meanwhile, East Bay and Silicon Valley will play a pair of games against each other Saturday, Sunday to decide who finishes first and punches their ticket immediately for Texas. A look at the batting card, and of all the surprising heroes, Rusty Theron, 8 off 3. The scores were level. Going into that final ball, needed to do something. They tried to crowd the infield, and so Rusty bet on himself. And those are 8 big runs. Tadic with the 15 off 8 late as well. Angelo Pereira, David White, Sanjay Krishnamurthy, Vikash Mohan, everybody just about putting their hands up. Certainly CP Rizwan wanted to do a little bit more, but popped out. Made things very, very interesting down the stretch. We'll take a look as well at the bowling card from the SoCal Lashings. Desai and Mrinal Patel, the 2 wickets apiece. Lefties ruling the day. Rubal Rhino with one of the other 2 wickets. One great over from Abhimanyu Rajap. As a reminder, he was responsible way back when for retiring Aditya Ganesh before he was able to really get started. A lot of tap for Elmore Hutchinson today. Everybody else pretty economical, and everybody besides Sandhu in the wickets. It came down to the barest of margins here. A final ball victory for East Bay. Let's see how it happened. Let's take a deep breath. Ayan Desai. An excellent start for SoCal Lashings, blowing up 2 of the 3 stumps to dismiss Saideep Ganesh right out of the gate. Then we'd have our first partnership. 53 runs between David White and Sanjay Krishnamurthy, first 50 partnership East Bay have had that has not involved Vikash Mohan. David White, boundary strokes galore. He would have 5 of them en route to his 42 off 34. But here Sanchit Sandhu thought that he had Sanjay Krishnamurthy LBW. Judged to be a little bit too far outside the line of off, ended up being 4 byes. Krishnamurthy was soaking up a lot of pressure early, but when he finally did release from it, boy did he. At the boundary save that perhaps wasn't, no longer a source of controversy, may well have been if this had gone to a super over or been a 1-run win. There's Sanjay Krishnamurthy continuing to relieve pressure. 3 4s and a 6 for the 20-year-old. Who's moved around a little bit everywhere. Arizona, India, now to the Bay Area. At a camp in Houston when COVID hit. Moved here due to father's work. And it has been to the benefit of the East Bay Blazers. That one guided neatly to fine leg and up against the Sunoco sign. It would be Rubal Rhino, however, that would finally bamboozle him, inducing this pop-up into the gloves of Ravi Timbawala. And that would be the end for Sanjay at that point. David White, though, would continue looking to build a partnership with his new man, Aditya Ganesh. Wouldn't get to spend much time with him, however, as Abhimanyu Rajap is brought into the attack for a little bit of off-spin. Hits the pads right there, and despite a bit of confusion at first and a very long wait for Pankaj Chowdhury, that one was given. Had them at that point at 65 for 3 at nearly the halfway point. Sandhu back into the attack. His overs used a little differently than we're accustomed to today. Normally all of it up front. Today they saved one for the midpoint and one for the death. This one lifted by Angelo Pereira. This was a big chance here that the skipper Mrinal Patel could not settle after going a long way to make his ground. Pereira would make them pay for it. He had not really gotten off to much of a start yet at that point, went for 34 off 25. But he was finally nearly run out on this particular play. A sign of things to come for him later on. First, though, a few more boundary strokes, 2 4s and a 6 for the very active captain from Moratua, Sri Lanka. This one had just enough Sunoco to make it to the boundary rope after splitting a pair of defenders. Rubo Raina again inducing the long high ball, and this one again dropped. Kirsten Kalichara not able to settle it. Might have had a better result today if they'd gotten Pereira a little bit earlier. They would get White just after East Bay had reached the 100 mark on the first ball of the 15th over at 102 for 4. Prakash Mohan, though, gave them no relief. A 4 on the first ball he faced. That would be his only boundary en route to 17 off 12. But Angelo Pereira was the one who absolutely wrecked Elmore Hutchinson to start with here. Although he would lose his wicket moments later here as he took off a bit too early on that hit from Vikash Mohan. Gone at that end. But Hutchinson would continue to hemorrhage runs over the course of the day. A rough outing for him, the 46 conceded. Over here, though, Ayan Desai had us thinking that SoCal Lashings might be well and truly in it on the final ball of the 18th, catching Vikash Mohan at long on after Mohan had done a little bit of damage. Sandhu would come in to bowl the 19th. Hamza Tariq would dispatch him behind for a 4, and then continue to move across his stumps and pick this one up for 6. At that point, 20 needed off of 12 rapidly became just 10 needed off of 10. Mrinal Patel, the skipper, bowled himself for the final over. Got the pop-up on that third delivery, caught by Jaikishan Palaha. That had them in business. Still 4 runs ahead with 3 balls to go. And Rusty Theron on strike. And you had to like SoCal's chances at this point. But Theron works this one into mid-wicket. Lots of room there. They elect initially not to take the second run, but the overthrow allows them to go again. This time the throw coming down to Timbawala's end. And then they send Hamza Tariq back and a chance to potentially run him out. All of it comes to nothing, just a pair of runs, and at that point now, 3 needed to win, 2 to tie. They would get those 2 on the next delivery, nearly a photocopy to that mid-wicket area. Quick running by the 2 of them, the throw from Hutchinson down to that end. Timbawala couldn't settle it, but probably wasn't there in time anyway. With that scores level, infield crashed in. With 1 ball left, it was either going to be a super over or an East Bay win. And Rusty Theron bet on himself, slugged one where no one was standing, and rolled that to the boundary rope for the winning runs. What a match today here from Morgan Hill. We've already told you about the playoff results here. We will take one last look perhaps at the standings before calling it a day here, but that drops SoCal Lashings to 4 and 6. And there is, as we mentioned, a way that Thunderbolts and Grizzlies could also both finish at 4 and 6 and have it be a 3-way tie. But if you notice, Thunderbolts have a massive net run rate advantage. Even if things happen that would hurt their net run rate, those things would help Golden State Grizzlies. So it is basically done here, even though they are the rabbit in front at 3rd place. It's going to be either Seattle or Golden State. And so our lone new playoff participant this season out of the Western Division is going to be the East Bay Blazers, who I'll remind you have been cruelly knocked out on the final day of the season both years so far. proper blood sugar and doesn't have his throat catch fire. Very much appreciated all the work there. Of course, on our camera work today, Rafa and Eric bringing you those moving shots. And of course, Vishal Tiku at the controls, setting up all the stationary cameras to give you those dependable great shots over the course of today of the day. He has been fantastic. He's going to be back here along with me, along with potentially those two camera folks, for 5 games next weekend to decide who is going to Texas and who is contesting that 2 versus 3 playoff on the weekend of September 23rd, 24th. We look forward to having you along for that. Until then, this is Joe Hickey, hoping to see you very soon and hoping you enjoy your cricket. Take care.